can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh,
What's up? FT Live, Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, and Halloween coming up in Game 3 before that of the World Series. And just a reminder to everyone that after every single World Series game, FT Postgame Show is the best place to find a place. No, is the best place to get your postgame coverage. So we will be there for you, about 30 minutes of postgame coverage live. And if you miss it, it's of course there for you on YouTube. If you missed one of the first two, Brockstar was on with me on Saturday. He did a great job. And what did you say you're doing for Halloween? Or you don't want to tell anyone yet? You want to let them know tomorrow? Or
yeah,
what?
I'm dressing up like you.
Okay. Good luck.
I got to get my.
You want me to give you a
I
shirt?
got to get my son's baby shirt. I got to find some cheap.
I have
chains.
baby shirts. I can bring you one.
Your normal shirt would work probably.
If you did your hair exactly like his, that would make my day.
It would take me 3 months to get my hair to do. How much product do you put in that hair?
None.
Some days none. Other days a little, but not much. Not
I
much.
need it. AJ,
There's a lot. There's
for
a
the
lot
people.
of blow drying and
That's it. That's the key.
teasing, and my hair doesn't do
Hair
that.
dryer. Hair dryer is the key. Just so you know. Erik Kratz is already famous, but now more famous. And, you know, if you want to brighten your day, first of all, it's a great emoji from CBS Sunday Morning. Erik Kratz was one of the stars of a great piece about backups in life, in many jobs. Obviously, Kratz on the baseball front, they spoke to a guy who was a mean saxophone player for a number of huge musicians, including Billy Joel. They spoke to a Broadway understudy, but Kratz was right there in the middle of the piece, going over what life is like as a backup catcher. And Tim Brown, your co-author for Tao, the backup catcher, was on there as well. It was a great piece. I watched and listened to it this morning, Kratz. A great motivator, like to start your day on a Monday, you know?
Like it. You only got it one day late. You take your content in one day too late, but
I'm an on-demand guy. So
You're-
Sunday I actually was at a festival for AJ just to get him prepped for Halloween. So I missed it, but Kratz, it was awesome. Great job, man. It was cool.
thank you. Yeah, they did an awesome job. When they approached us about it, I was like, they told me the other people that were in it, and I was like, why do you want to do my story? But I think Tim did an amazing job. A lot of it was Tim just talking about why he wrote the book, the different things that he connected with. Yeah, the book's about my story, but it's also about other backup catchers too, and how that was inspirational for the producer of Sunday Morning, but also for Jim Axelrod, the host of that, or whatever, the interviewer of that show. So it was cool. They did it. It was like a minute and a half of me and Tim combined, and they were there for an entire day of filming. So it's cool to see all that goes into it.
That's like how movies work sometimes, because my sister's involved in movies, and sometimes they'll do like days of work, and then they'll be like, oh, we cut it out, or oh, it's 5 seconds, you know. But hey, you were in there. I like it. And there will not be a sequel.
I just
with
love
the starting catcher with AJ.
my favorite part is that people thought that Kratz was me,
Mhm.
and I'm like, no, I wasn't the backup catcher. Sorry.
That's the part that not my incredible good looks that you were like, no, I'm not that handsome or anything like that. You're like, I wasn't a backup catcher.
Yeah, that's what offends him the most.
That's what offended him the most.
I mean, besides the haircuts are very similar.
I mean, that's like you could choose to have this awesome of a haircut if you wanted.
Also, right, you're both wearing backwards hats, so who knows? We don't know what's under there. You don't show it to the world except on Fox.
That's all I need.
Okay. Well, let's charge the damn mounds, because I talked enough about the first 2 games. I'm going to let AJ start the show here.
What games?
I don't know. World Series?
What?
Did you see those? Or you're one of the trolls that say, oh, there's no powerhouse teams, or there's not enough
No,
star
actually, so
power.
I stayed up. I'll be honest. I stayed up. I watched the whole second game.
Yeah.
I watched that one. That was not a good game. I mean, it was if you're a Diamondbacks fan, but it wasn't a competitive game.
You even watched like the last few outs?
Yeah,
Oof.
I watched the whole
Feel
game.
bad
I
for
know
you.
Tommy Pham, 4 for 4, poor guy. Then I got my boy Jason at bat, and he got blasted on Twitter. Like, that was bad. was awesome what Tommy did. But people were like, "Why Torrey take him out?" And Tommy's like, "Because I wanted my boy to get in a bet." That was awesome.
Yeah, and then it shut everyone up.
Yeah, that
It
was
the
awesome.
ultimate
Like,
shut the
so
fuck
Tommy
up.
ex-teammate, Jace ex-teammate.
That was awesome.
They both that was great. That was really cool. So I was happy for that. And then, but game one, I stayed up till the top of the ninth. And after the Rangers had bases loaded, 2 outs off Ginkle and didn't score, I'm like, "Oh, this game's over. Seawald is going to come in and close it out." And I went to sleep. It was like midnight. That game was on till freaking 1 a.m. Had to be up early on Saturday for a funeral. So I went to sleep, and then I woke up to chaos. And normally the Diamondbacks win those chaos games, but Adolis Garcia, Seager with the home run, Adolis Garcia with the home run, obviously. But I mean, the way I look at it is Diamondbacks literally are one pitch away from being up 2-0, and they got to look at it and say, "Man, we should be up 2-0 right now and going home." But I mean, give credit to the Rangers, but the first game was awesome. The highlights, and then even the beginning of the game where they were up, the Rangers went up, the Diamondbacks came back, and I don't know. The first game was great. The second game was great if you're a Diamondbacks fan, but a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, moves that were made and not made, and just really well played.
Do you feel like there were moves made and not made? I feel like there hasn't been a lot of criticism. It's basically been okay. I mean, even the other day, they're like, you get the classic, and this one I'm on the other side of, well, why'd you take Merrill Kelly out? It's not really a close game. We'd like him to be good to go for the next one. Not that he couldn't go another inning, but I think he said he felt like he saw maybe a drop of fatigue, right? Stuff down a little bit, 89 pitches. Totally good with that. I'm not like, ride your horse no matter what. He's got to go the distance. Oh, gladiator. Like, it's not close. It's cool, Kratz. I don't think, I mean, sure, you can ask the question, but there's no criticism on that front. It's not, that's not the purpose here. The purpose is just not assuming all the time that, a reliever is going to come in and save the day.
No, for sure. They're not going to come in and save the day all the time. But also, like, I love what Torrey said about it afterwards. He said, I'd like for him to be 100% for the final game. Like, he doesn't need to keep going out there. And I would disagree with AJ. I thought the game was a great game until the 7th. It got out of hand. And I think that's going to be indicative of what the next 2 games are. Is how do the Rangers figure out if Scherzer doesn't go 5? How do they figure out how to keep the game close? I'm not saying they were throwing the rest of the game by the relievers they were putting in, but they could have gone to Spores right away there in a 2-1 game to keep it close. They had an off day and they didn't. I'm interested to see how it goes the next 2 games. Maybe even, they're going to spin it back around in game 5 to Evaldi, but I think it was a great game. Montgomery, gave up 4 runs, but I think he kept it close until the end there, until the 7th, and I think they were trying to stretch him out a little bit too far. So that's where I would say there's a little, what was the decision there for him, just because it didn't work out. In the moment, I didn't think it was that big a deal. The Rangers they didn't bring their bats.
Yeah, but who has a better bullpen? I mean, honestly. Who you trust more, the Thompson, Ginkle, Seawald, Saalfrank, or Sabores, Chapman, Leclerc when you're behind, right? That's kind of the key to me is the Rangers were behind and they kept Monty out there. And then once it gets to 4-1, I felt like kind of game was
not
over.
worth using him.
Yeah, it's not worth using them because the chances of coming back 2 nights in a row, if the Diamondbacks were lucky, they didn't have to use their high leverage guys in the second game. But even if it was, have to use the chance of coming back from down 3 after coming back from down 2 the night before is like almost none.
Also, here's my thing for you, both of you guys. We've talked about this, but Kratz, I think if you're a manager in a 7-game series, especially one like this that looks like it's going to go 7, you need to have 2 to 3 games where you are not going to use your 2 or 3 best relievers. And it's not even just about durability. I'm thinking more about muscle memory. You guys are the best in the world at what you do. You see something enough, it really doesn't matter who it is, unless they are perfect. Every pitch is perfect. You are going to get to him and figuring him out. Even if the pitch isn't perfect, right? Even if it's like, hey, Seawald's going to work up here and it's above the zone. But if I see that pitch enough, I'm going to figure out how to get on top of it. That's my problem, where you have to pick and choose those spots. So is there a case to be made that Bochy said, you know what? I'm not feeling it today for this game. I'm not going to give them all another look. And then, what? I'm going to have to pick in the next 3 games, probably 2 of those to use my guys. I just don't want them to see the same pitchers over and over again.
I don't
No?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that is it's a great point because yes, guys see him all the time. If he felt at 2-1 before Monty gave up those last 2 runs that he felt like they could keep it at 2-1, I think they would have gone to him. But you're right, there is something to that, and you kind of saw it in Game 1 with Ginkel. Hey, he didn't give up any runs. Absolutely, but he gave up a hit, gave up a walk. He had some deep counts. Only struck for Ginkel. He only struck out 1. Normally against the Phillies, he was just striking out everybody. It was like Bugs Bunny out there. Like 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. It was just quick work of everybody. So you have to be a little prude with your usage. Like you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's only one Mariano Rivera. That's why he was a unanimous choice for the Hall of Fame. Like that dominant. You're not going to each of these guys in a 7-game series and constantly getting the same thing out of all of them. Just like I don't think you're going to hit a dinger off of Paul Sewald every night he comes out either, unless they know something or they see something. So yeah, I think it could have been a case where he was kind of trying to hold him back, but you look back and they didn't score enough runs, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
So I remember the Diamondbacks said, and actually you sent me this clip, Kratz, that they had to make pretty drastic pitching changes in terms of game plan strategy in the last series against the Phillies after they were down 2-0. So now it's 1-1, series shifting to Arizona, you get an off day, okay? And part of it was, and you can explain this better than I can, they were like, there are spots that we can execute where we can beat the Phillies, and we saw it in the last round by some success from, say, Strider and some of the relievers for the Braves, including, say, up and into some of the pitchers, which, I mean, it's not rocket science, but they weren't executing there, okay? So do you think that there's any key adjustments from these first 2 games for either side where you're looking at something very glaring going, that needs to be fixed? I mean, Texas walked a ton. They spit at everything in the first game. And then Arizona in Game 2, Lovello goes, we are throwing them strikes because if we don't, they're going to get on base and we're screwed. So what do you think now happens adjustment-wise?
I think they need to go out and they need to attack Fott. They need to attack Fott in the way that they attacked him in his first game that they faced him in his big league debut. I think Merrill Kelly, if you're the Rangers, you got to look at that outing and be like, okay, he was executing that pitch down and away. I think there's some pitchers that you have to say, if he can execute this pitch 3 times in a row, tip your cap. But if you stay in your zones, eventually he'll come out of his execution. And I think Merrill Kelly got better and better. He got a little bit of help off the plate. Quinn Wilcott was quite large on that outer half sometimes, and it created a lane for Merrill Kelly to stay in. And then once he created that lane, a perfect example is Evan Carter. He ran like a cutter that he froze him on bottom of the zone, just like it never sank out of the zone. It just stayed on plane, and he froze him. Next time up, he broke the breaking ball right off the same plane, and it was in the dirt. So he did a good job of executing. For the Rangers, they have to make sure that Fott gets in the zone and they stay in the zone, because unfortunately for them, Alfonso Marquez is behind the dish tonight. He's going to have a larger zone. He's not going to be very consistent with the strike zone.
Here's my thing for tonight. Fought pitched against them, gave up 4 homers in 4 innings, 7 runs. That's a lot.
No Seager and Carter in that lineup.
So,
too. But that was a while ago. Wasn't it?
Yeah, but still, I mean, Fott's been an animal for him this postseason, right? Like he's been put in a spot, and they're like, oh, let's see what the guy has. And he's gone out twice and shoved, right? At Milwaukee and then against Philly twice. So this guy's been really good for him, and he's someone they're counting on now. He's kind of gone from an unknown to someone that the Diamondbacks are like, man, we can count on this dude. I mean, he's 98, heavy sink, right? A little cutter, a little breaking ball, a little changeup.
Sweeper,
whatever. Kurt curveball, sweeper, slider, slurve, whatever. It's all the breaking
The
ball.
sweeper's been the pitch for him, though.
Yeah, I know. But also 98 with it goes phew is also a great pitch for him.
Good one.
But the thing he's been in the strike zone. He's been able to control the strike zone up and down and in and out, right? And if he can do that again, I mean, I don't care how good the Rangers are, but if they only get 4 hits in 1 run, Scherzer can go out and do the best he can. I don't think that's going to be good enough unless he throws a shutout, which is a lot to ask against the way the Diamondbacks get on base. Max used to be able to hold runners really well because he could hold the ball and hold the ball and hold the ball. Now with the pitch clock, he can't do that anymore. So he's going to have to slide 7. We've seen the games when Arizona gets on, even game 2, they were just like, all right, just go. It was like, all right, on your mark, get set, go. And Heim was making good throws. He had no chance. So the key for me is, can they get to Fott, and can Arizona execute their offense, which their offense is, everyone says get on base, but they also, when they hit the home run, if they hit a home run or 2, they'll win. It's pretty simple for me. Can Scherzer be good enough, and can Fott not do what he did his first start against the Rangers?
And you're right. I mean, it happens pretty frequently now in the postseason. People will point out for years the team that out-homers the other team is going to be in better shape. I think it's 22-4 right now if you out-homer the other team.
That usually means you're scoring more runs.
Yes, but if you steal more bases than the other team, 17-6 this postseason. So
if you do both,
too.
And guess what? If you do both,
you're winning.
You're probably winning.
True.
That's what the Diamondbacks have done, though, right? When the games they've won, they've hit home runs and they've stole base. I mean, we saw in 6 and 7 in Philly. I mean, JT Realmuto is the best throwing catcher in baseball. They were just like, wee, like he couldn't do anything to slow him down.
They're changing the way that we're going to evaluate teams and players and all of that too, because they're running this much. Teams are going to be looking for that in the offseason. Just saying. Very controversial. The wave in the World Series. Yay, nay, or okay if it's a blowout. Watchstadium.com/foul territory. There's context to this. We'll tell you about it later. We'll ask Russ about it actually when we bring him in next. Yay or nay? What? Do you respect the angle that's out there right now that he's a free agent and there have been some managers in this sport that are underpaid? And the position in general, I guarantee the average salary for a manager now compared to 5 years ago, something like that, has gone down. And it's important for him because he's part of, it's not a union, right? You're part of a union. You see a player sign for a big money, that elevates everyone, right? That's where you guys are all teammates. To me, I'm looking at that situation in the same way. This is a really unique case. You don't have a young manager, who's just been one of the best in the sport, undisputed for a while, have free agency with a lot of teams open, teams that will spend, and a situation where for some reason the salaries have gone down for many skippers. I'm not saying him, he's paid fine, but this can elevate the field. Do you know what I'm saying? To me, I respect 100%. That. I'm curious from the player perspective what you guys see.
Yeah, I think you hit it head on. I mean, that's kind of his situation, right? I think if he's, he's the best at what he does right now, and if he commands a larger salary, then I think that's going to help coaches, managers, folks down the road. And it's just you said exactly how I think players look at it, how I look at it. He has to do what's best for him, and I think do what's best for the game. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens, but you know what, Counts he's been so good to me and all those guys in that clubhouse. And you know what, I think everybody wants the best, for Counts.
And now back to foul territory.
What's up? Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz, and Stadium's Russ Dorsey with us. So let's just get this out of the way first because the poll's running right now. I just voted. So at the end of the Rangers game, I think it was in the 7th maybe when it started, whenever it got a little out of hand, the wave starts going. And the wave actually was running in the NLCS too. So
they love the wave in Arizona, don't they?
Yes, they did. And there were multiple writers that called it out and they were like, all right, whatever. Clearly it doesn't matter. So I'm not talking about performance. I'm not talking about if it affects players on the field. Just straight up, Russ, are you a fan of it? If you're sitting next to someone and they're like, yo, should we start the wave? And I guess you can give me 2 scenarios. It's close or it's not close. What are you saying? What are your thoughts?
I'm out on the wave. Completely out. Right?
Okay.
If I'm going to a baseball game And I don't feel like I'm a weirdo for just wanting to watch the product on the field. And if I'm there enjoying time with friends, cool, I'm doing that. But I don't want to get up and do the wave, and then you got to wait for your section. Is everybody going to Guys, let's just watch the game, please. That's why we're here.
Gosh, you are a party pooper.
I'm the same way.
You are a party. Have some fun.
You know
Live in
what
the
Brock
moment.
Holt-
AJ,
He was
first
like,
of all,
"You don't
you
have
know me
kids."
and you know I'm fun, but dude, I'm not paying these premium prices to do the wave.
First of all, after the
So
tweets you were
corny.
putting out there hating on the Bears, I don't know that you're any fun anymore.
No Bears
Well,
talk.
that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah. Brock Holt said this weekend, Kratz, that he doesn't like it either, but when he takes his son, he's into it. So he's like, I'll participate, you know?
I like it. To each their own. Have you ever seen the one in Milwaukee where it like goes like two of them go one way and then it comes back, and like Milwaukee has some serious wave aesthetics.
Why all the wave hate though? I don't understand. Why does everyone hate the wave so much?
Because everyone has to participate in it. It's not like,
so
you do your thing.
You don't have to
Yeah, but
participate.
then-
you just
Okay, Russ.
you're just that person like at the craps table that bets the don't pass line. That's you. And Russ for that matter.
Goes all in every time at the poker table.
No, you guys
Okay, we
bet
get
the
it.
don't pass line where everyone's, yeah, let's go. We need an 8, hard 8. There's Russ and Scott going, no, we want the 7 so we can win.
Russ, do you agree? For me, it's just like, yeah, okay, people want to do their thing, but then like everyone's sitting there, they're looking around at you. It's annoying.
Yeah, people people aren't just letting you not participate, AJ. That's the thing. Like, it's not just, oh, you can do your own thing. No, people are gonna start jeering you. What's going on? Why aren't you participating? You got the whole section, dude. I'm trying to watch the game. Actually, that's why I'm not participating.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's like such a thing, but whatever. If people want to do their thing, what I said was, it's a blowout. The game's very much over at that point. Whatever had happened, it was like 7 runs already or whatever it was. I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. The game's over. People are doing their thing. I don't think they're like as locked into the game at that point.
Derek had a good point though. It's more fun like when they do like the Homer hankies or like the chop or then the rally monkey and they beat their 2 little
That's
plastic
different for
things
me.
together. The
That's
thunder
different
sticks.
for me. That's cheering. That's like
The
trying
coolest
to
thing-
impact the game, make a lot of noise.
The coolest
This
thing
is
in
like-
baseball is when the Braves at night when they do the
Yes.
they shut off the lights and all the fans have their phone and they're doing the chop and it's pretty
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it in person, it is pretty awesome.
It is the coolest thing in a ballpark. To me, though, the wave is not intimidating. If anything, I feel like it tells your players we're not really paying attention to you, and we're just trying to aesthetically make all of our hands look in sync. I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway, Russ, your thoughts on the World Series? You having fun?
Yeah, there for game 1 and game 2. That game 1, what a perfect opening to the World Series. You had the D-backs that for most of that game looked like they were going to take game 1, surprise a lot of people. And then in the moment when you need them up there, Corey Seager come through with a big-time homer in the 9th inning. Adolis Garcia doing what he's continued to do all postseason, turn himself into a true star. It's been a lot of fun. And then not only do, the Rangers win game 1, you have the D-backs come back in game 2, you get punched in the mouth, lose a heartbreaker late in that game where you have, Kevin Ginkel, give up a little bit of damage for the first time we've seen. You see Paul Sewald giving up a homer, hadn't allowed a run in the postseason, and they can come back, they respond and say, all right, last night was last night. Let's come out here today and got themselves a win. Now you get to go back to Arizona in your building. That crowd's going to be crazy as well. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. And I think you have 2 teams that are different in that you have the Texas Rangers that are, offensive minded. They want to hit the ball in the ballpark, want to get on base. And you have the D-backs that they want to get on base too. They want to run the bases. They want to try to, wreak havoc on the base pass, what we saw them do game 6 and 7 in the NLCS. And they started doing that in game 1 and 2 in the World Series as well. It's been fun to watch. And I think we're probably going to see a series that goes 6 or 7.
Are the Diamondbacks the better team right now in this series? Essentially, they had both games won.
You can make the argument that they should be up 2-0 right now, right? I think they probably went home and said, man, we should be up. We were 2 outs away from locking up game 1. We won game 2 big and going into our house with the 2-0 lead. Are they the better team? Ask me again on Thursday, because I think I'm interested. I don't know if I can say it yet. I don't know if I can say that yet, because the series is tied at 1. And while you can say, yes, the D-backs should be up 2-0, you can also say, hey, the Rangers came back in that game and won it in game one. And then they had a clunker in game two that was actually pretty close until the seventh inning when the D-backs put it out of reach. So I can't necessarily say it yet that the D-backs are the better team. And that's no disrespect.
Russ, for me, I'm trying to figure out always what the industry learns about what they're seeing, because it is a copycat league, and that's fine. So sure, you can look at Texas and say, hey, maybe we should go for it and spend a little and not take, a billion years to tank and then build ourselves back up. With Arizona, it's a difference in the way that the game is being played in 2023, and you're seeing instant dividends on that front with their embrace chaos, run, make more contact. They're bunting like it's 1992. So do you think that this will be mimicked in the offseason? They will look for players of this style and even take it to the draft too, right? I mean, will Corbin Carroll, will that skill set make it into the middle of the first round anymore just because maybe he's undersized?
I think I look at a couple of things. I think to your point about the D-backs and how they play the game, I think with the way the rules have changed, you guys were kind of talking about it in your A block there with, being aggressive against the guy who has the best arm behind the plate in all of baseball, and JT Realmuto. And they were just like, we don't care. Like in game 6 and 7, they said, this is how we play our game. And if we're going to go out, we're going to go out playing our game. And they ended up being in the World Series. I'm surprised more teams didn't do it throughout this postseason and were aggressive. You've seen it here and there, but I do think as the years go by, speed is going to be something that's very important that clubs look at, that teams look at. As far as what the industry learned, I think something that coming into the series, looking at how the D-backs have been built and how the Rangers have been built, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Like you can be the Rangers and say, all right, we're going to throw $500 million at Corey Seager and Marcus Semien to be our middle infield for the next 10 years. Or you can say, well, if you're the D-backs, all right, we don't feel like we have the resources that a team like Texas does, but we have to be really smart and make some shrewd trades where we give up a guy in Dalton Varsho who is an elite defender, a guy who can play any of the 3 outfield positions, play behind the plate if you needed them to. And we're going to get this young kid in Gabriel Moreno, who's going to be our catcher of the future and hit third for us in the World Series. We're going to go get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We're going to, keep Ketel Marte, for who a long time people were saying, why is Ketel Marte still in Arizona with the D-backs, right? You're able to develop Christian Walker into not only one of the better power hitters in baseball, but one of the best defenders in baseball, right? The play you made the other day, ball hits the bag, makes a barehanded play. Like you're getting to see all the tools of a Christian Walker there. I think teams are going to look at that way and like, okay, we can spend a lot of money and make it to the World Series. Obviously, the Rangers are showing us that. And I know there were a lot of people said, oh, the Padres and the Mets, they're not in there. They spent more money than anybody. Well, the Rangers did too, and they're in the World Series. But you can also say, hey, can you draft well? Can you develop players internally? Can you make the right trade to bring in the right talent from other orgs, put them on your roster, and then develop those guys into being productive everyday players for you?
You were in Texas, right? You were in Arlington?
Yeah, for game 1 and 2, yeah.
Okay, so give me something that you really loved about the experience there and something that you did not love. And I'll give you something just from observing. Our guy Michael on social was out there in Arlington, and he did one of those fast forward looks at the line for the team store about an hour before the game. And we're in Orlando. There's some long lines down here. I think that was longer. I think there were a lot of people there that might have been waiting until the end of the game, and probably half that line left. I was like, how the fuck do they make a line this long and not have some alternative scenario at a new ballpark?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I was shocked. It's a new ballpark.
Best part, it's the World Series though, right? Like that would be the only, if I'm playing devil's advocate, it's the World Series. You have more people in that ballpark than had ever been there in game 2, sold out crowd, standing room only. I'm not necessarily shocked by that. The thing I love, that was my first time at Global Life Field. I'd been to the old ballpark. I went to college, at Oral Roberts in Tulsa. It's only 4 hours away. Drove down with some friends during college and watched the games there. Really cool ballpark. Being in the new ballpark, you don't realize that place is massive, right? And you really have to get adjusted to sound there, where you're going to hear something off the bat because it's so cavernous, and they're like, okay, that ball was crushed. That has to be like in the second deck, and it doesn't even make it to the warning track. So just noticing how ballparks are different and the vibe in there, roof closed with 40,000 plus in there, like that memory of Seager hitting that homer in game one is something I'll never forget. Very similar to Bryce Harper hitting the homer in the NLCS in Philly last year. Those two are very similar for me. Just like you're getting the purest excitement, thrill of those fan bases in their home ballpark. And that was really cool for me.
Hey, Mr. Don't Pass line. Did you happen to go up in the press box?
I was there.
Could you see the players? Because the
could.
one miss at that ballpark, the players are about yay big when you're in the TV box. I mean, they are like it's like Washington. I mean, it is.
No, Washington's worse.
I don't
dude.
know,
It's
dude.
higher.
Te-
Washington
Dude,
is
Texas
way
is
up
so
there.
high.
Dude, Washington is a joke.
Washington is the high. I feel like it's the highest in baseball, where you on the press level are below where we were in like the press box, right? So you have the broadcast level, and then above that is where like the rest of the media were, and it was up there, but I felt that Washington is still the highest ballpark, highest press box, and view in all of
I
baseball.
don't know, dude.
Dude, I don't think
Pittsburgh's
it's
up there
close.
too. Pittsburgh's
Pittsburgh's high, but at least
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, you can look out over the city, right?
for sure.
Washington, you're looking at not really
DC,
nothing.
they're basically saying they decided, hey, you're here, but you're not really here. You know what I mean? Like, just watch the TV. You're here because you're going to talk to the players before and after the game and the coaches and whatever. But, like, as far as the game is concerned, just watch the TV.
Yeah, watch the
It's a
monitor.
joke.
Calling the game in DC, I was definitely I'm not a guy that liked to look at the monitor. Like I like to look at what was going on. And in DC, I definitely had to look at the monitor to make sure what I was seeing was what I was actually seeing.
You have no perception on anything. It's like,
No.
picture you're, at the Empire State Building and someone's playing baseball on the street and you look down and you have to call the game.
Also, Derek brings up a good point. The camera angle in Arlington is a little strange from where you normally are used to watching it. I don't know if it's higher or more straight
it's
on,
offset
but it's
to,
something's
like, the
different
right
about
a
it.
little bit. Yeah.
I mean, they're never right behind. Everyone always thinks they're right behind. They're always offset. They're always usually to the right. But this one either feels higher or more offset.
It does look different.
It just looks
I think
different.
I
And the
think, I
lighting,
think
It
is
looks
more offset.
international.
yeah,
if
you're
that
right.
makes sense.
And the lighting doesn't. The lighting in Arizona kind of has it too. If the roof's closed, like the lighting in there is like a little bit. I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit off.
I
but-
agree.
I mean, listen, it was great games and people are happy. So, what can you say?
I have a question because the commissioner spoke for a while, and we'll ask Ken and some others about this when we get to them later. The one I wanted to ask you about quite simply on this topic is playoff format. So he said, it'll at least motivate a conversation about whether we have it right. So it sounded like, for the most part, I'll paraphrase because there's way too much to read here from his quotes, that he felt and the league feels like it's pretty much on par. They like what they've seen so far with this new playoff format. I'll take one part here. That's kind of how baseball playoffs are, and frankly, how I think they should be. If the die was cast, meaning that if I win 100 in the regular season, I'm going to win the World Series, I don't think that's as interesting as what we have witnessed over the last month. And MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark said that they had proposed alternative postseason formats the league wasn't interested in during the last round of bargaining. So I still have ideas for little tweaks. We've talked about a couple of them, but I generally think we're in a pretty good spot. I think like teams are just going to have to catch up to the Rangers and Diamondbacks and create teams that are built for the postseason.
I'm with that. And I think it's something we talked about since the start of the postseason when the D-backs really got on their role here and when the Braves got knocked out of the postseason, where it's just like, play better. I think that's where I'm at. I understand the idea of there should be an incentive for being the best team in the league that year. I get that, right? So do you only allow one team to have the bye? Do you shorten the days off during the bye? Like instead of 5 days, it's 3 days. Does that make it better? But I always feel like somebody or a team is going to have, or fans are going to have a gripe about what you tweet. I just think for me, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the norm going forward, right? Like next year we could play the thing out again and you have the top 4 teams by seeding in the CS, right? Like I think I would like to see it for a couple years before I make a rash judgment and say, nope, change the whole thing. I think because you have an 84-win team in the World Series, people want to just say, nope, scrap it all, let's change it. I'd be interested after 3 or 4 years if we feel the same way.
I agree. It's been 2 years of this format. 3 years? 2 years or 3 years of this format?
I think it's 2.
2 years of this format, right? We're already and listen, who had more off days going to the LCS? Diamondbacks had an extra day, they won.
Yeah.
Rangers had an extra day, they won. They weren't complaining about having an extra
I
day
think
off.
some of it also has to do with, like, can you put the team in a position where they don't have as much, of an advantage with their starters, right? Like,
There's no way to do that unless you give them days off. There's really no way to do that unless, I mean, the way, here's the thing. And then going to the World Series, the Rangers had an extra day off, and they won game 1, and they got to line up their pitching the way they wanted, and nobody was complaining. And if they lose, they're going to say, well, we had 4 days off instead of 3 days off like the Diamondbacks. No. Like, I'm so sick of this argument.
I don't think it's the days off thing. It's just, is there anything that bothers
There's no,
you
it's
about the
baseball.
format?
It's baseball. It's not football.
The players
it's not
aren't
basketball.
complaining.
It's you. Don't pass, guys.
The players are not complaining. It's the homer writers that are complaining.
No, I have a legit complaint.
No, I'm not talking
guys.
about you, Russ. I'm not talking about you.
I have a complaint. I'm complaining, okay? The season, I'm going to tell you this, okay? I could have baseball year-round and be happy, but the week that the season ends is dumb. We started on a Friday on a weekend. People watch more during the week, and I know you don't want to go up against football, but that's mostly Sunday, okay? So we start Friday, Saturday of Halloween weekend. We're trying to reach a younger demographic, a younger age, okay? You know what people are doing between like 18 and 36 years old or whatever on Friday and Saturday night, many of them? They're out partying for Halloween. And then now we're going to go into this week when it's legit Halloween on a Tuesday, and all the little kids with their parents are going around town, and you're missing World Series games again. Just feel like we're playing it wrong. Like, can we do this 1 week sooner? Can we figure that out? And if we have to do 154 games and have a longer DS or something like that to make up for the money, that's fine. I just think this week is dumb. I'm telling you, there's so many people in my life that are like, oh, World Series? And they would watch it if it was like an average weekend, but it's not. No? Maybe this is just my world that I'm observing, but I'm around a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that are like, why do they have it on Halloween?
They're also
like,
on
they
mushrooms
don't think
and
about
acid,
that.
and they don't really know what the World
It
Series
has
is.
nothing to do with that.
Not acid. Oh, shoot.
Go to downtown Tampa, go to downtown Orlando
So
this weekend.
aggressive.
2 weeks
It
from
is
now,
packed as
dude.
fuck.
2 weeks from now, you're going to be in heaven.
EDC.
Sorry, Russ.
But
EDC here, Russ.
wait,
You coming?
Stay on
I am
course.
not.
Do you not agree with this? You think it's fine?
Well, okay, they didn't want to go. Okay, so
We're trying to reach
listen,
a younger
but according
demo.
to Fox, obviously I work for Fox, but they want Friday, Saturday because they don't want to go up against football. On
That's
Sunday
fine,
night.
but the week
right?
before, this weekend is a bad weekend to have a
But
World
then you got to,
Series.
but you got to move the season up, which nobody wants to do.
Everyone wants to do that.
So move the season up a week. The
Sure.
players don't want to do that. That means they got to start spring training a week earlier.
No, spring training's too fucking long.
Well, okay, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Okay, so they started around April 1st. They're going to start like March 24th.
in warm weather cities
People are going to.
and in retractable
Yeah, here we go. See,
situation.
this is why it doesn't work unless you cut the
Okay.
season down.
Pinnacle of the season is Halloween. I'm just telling you, it's a bad holiday.
What's
to go up
amazing though
against.
is if you look at years past before they added the extra round, like the Cardinals Rangers great World Series ended the week before, right? Everything used to end before Halloween, but now we've pushed everything so far back. We've
Now
added
we're
more
right
off
in
days
the
because
thick of
Kratz's
Halloween.
generation needed more off days. Load management.
I mean, do you guys think that? I mean, Russ, we're close enough in age. How many people in your world, especially if they're not like the biggest baseball fans in the world, were not paying attention to the World Series because they had extracurriculars going on?
Listen, man, the streets were hot this weekend, and your boy was covering baseball, which I love to do. It is my job. It's why I'm talking to you guys. But you make some points, Scott. Like, I do think people, their sole focus was not on the World Series. And that sucks because it's been a great start to the World Series. Do I think you could maybe start the postseason the day after the season ends? Sure. I think that gets some of the stuff that you're talking about, Scott, where you push it up by a few days and maybe instead of having a game 3 start, today, maybe worst case scenario, you have a game 7 around Halloween weekend. But I don't think anybody's going to be happy.
You
as
can't
far as
start
that
it though
goes
the
either.
day after because let's say the Marlins had to play the Mets that extra game.
Well, how about just
What
be
happens
better?
if- what
be
happens-
better, grounds crew.
But I'm just saying, what happens if there's a rain out in April and they're like, well, we don't play them again. It's never going to matter. And one of the teams just happens to be half a game out, 162, and they got to play and it determines the playoffs. But you've got to have that built-in off day. You have to have it for the travel. You just have to.
What about the day after the wild card?
You still have to have some travel.
Nah, just travel right after the game. You guys are soft. Just
I
go
don't
right to
necessarily
the
love
next
that
game.
either.
Yeah. What about the poor people that work these games?
What about the writers?
Yeah.
Everyone's fine. They
We
can
not
figure out
flying
the travel
private,
stuff.
I
Scott.
can't because okay,
There's been canceled. There's been
Here's the
rainouts.
thing.
I'm part of rainouts every year in the past in the postseason, and then we just have to get on 6 a.m. flights and get to the next.
But here's
place.
my problem. Like for the first game, for me, I don't know where I'm going sometimes until the series before me ends. So if it went 3 games, and so let's say it's LA and New York are playing, and I go to the winner, and I don't know until that night at midnight.
Oh no! AJ doesn't know where he's flying. So what?
Okay, then let's say the flight gets canceled.
Wait. First of all,
There's a
wild
million
card-
things that it doesn't work
No.
for.
You're wrong.
All right, we
The
got a
wild-
break.
Wait, lastly, just to dispute that point, the wild card is going to play the next round in the same place because the other team gets the home field advantage. So you know where you're going already. Do you get what I'm saying? Wild card round, you win. You're playing in LA,
But
right?
no, but
Arizona,
sometimes the
you're playing in
matchups
LA.
may determine where I go.
Not for the wild card though.
For the DS, though, it does.
Okay, well, I didn't say DS. I said
I'm
wild card.
talking about me. Let's talk about me. You want to talk about I?
I'm so worried about AJ's TV schedule. Russ, good talking to you. We'll catch you later this
See you
week.
guys.
Cheers, man. All right, we'll be right back. We'll go over some previewing of tonight's game
Thanks,
and get
Claudia.
through our
Appreciate-
picks as well. I've got a unique pick to throw your way. We'll go through it. Who's the ump tonight, Kratz?
DJ Rayburn,
DJ Rayburn. Is he a good dude? At least
great
Nice
dude.
guy?
Don't
Okay.
go into it thinking he's going to be bad, or it'll be an Angel Hernandez type of situation.
Oof.
As soon as there's a borderline call, you'll go, oh man, see, this is why we can't. Tweets are going to be coming out. Bad umpire, blah blah
We
blah.
told you.
Go into it with a open mind, but know that the unders. If you're tailing Scotty and you want a little extra cash, I feel like the under is going to be hitting here because it's going to be a large strike zone, which goes in the favor of the pitchers. Another reason I went plus 4.5. But what I would encourage, I want fans, guys who are on the chat right now, girls who are on the chat right now, tell us what you think is going to happen, and we'll keep receipts and we'll talk about it after the game.
I love
Okay.
receipts.
I like it. I'm expecting 95% accuracy or better. It's the World Series. If we can't have guys behind home plate that are 95% plus, I got a problem. Someone asked
They get
last
this one
night
far off.
Sorry.
on Twitter. We got a question last night. I told them I don't know the answer. I'll try and find out. They were like, "What exactly goes into the decision making of who is behind home plate for each World Series game?" And I said, "I know there's a reward system because I think the question was asked because technically Rayburn was ranked 75, right? Is that what the tweet was that was
good.
thrown out there out of
92? 91?
92?
Okay, I thought it was 92.
So he's bottom what, 10 percentile of umps behind the plate, and he's starting behind the plate. That also, he's got so much pressure on him because that's going to be talked about everywhere. And you're right. When he makes some bad calls, the world is going to flip the fuck out and say, why do we not have the 7 best dudes? If you don't want guys going consistently back to back or whatever, we should have the top whatever guys, 7 guys, 5 guys, something like that, behind home plate, calling balls and strikes for the biggest moment of the season.
And now, back to foul territory.
All right, let's do some picks. Okay, your Bet MGM locks for Monday. Baseball is back. I missed having games on a Sunday. Baseball games. Football, especially if you're a New York fan. Oof, not even talking about that. But your Friday locks. Okay, Kratz, you nailed it with your gallon case. Todd didn't get his Longo double.
That's
But-
like the most random thing I've ever. Plus, no wonder it was plus 625.
Yeah. But did you see how I pulled this off? obviously Texas was losing.
Yeah.
And then we are at 11 runs, and we get to the late stages of the game, and I'm like, okay, wait, I'm kind of back now. I just need a Rangers walk-off, 1 run. There was, for 95% of the game, my lock looked like it had 0 chance. It was like a no sweat loss.
Oh, because the Texas money line? Yeah.
Arizona was going to win,
Like I said,
and they were scoring.
I went to sleep.
Kratz?
It was awesome.
Even Kratz was with me, just like, yo, this is crazy. So anyway,
It was lining up. It was lining up. It was going to work out because they were all going to just be swinging for the fences. So
correct. Yes, that's extra inning postseason baseball.
Can we also discuss that we haven't even got into this in game 1? What happened to the Ghost Runners? Why did we get rid of the Ghost Runners?
Who was
we play the whole year a certain way, and then we get to the postseason, and we're like, oh no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to just go back to the way it was.
People act like Ghost Runners are against the law. The way that people interact on social media is like, oh, we're saved. Finally, the Ghost Runner is gone, and we can have regular extra inning ball where everyone just swings for the fences. Oh, finally. Like if you say anything, people go after you hard. I'm telling you. People despise it. I don't care.
I like it too, but I don't care if we're going to do it. You got to keep it the same for the playoffs and the regular season.
You and Todd Frazier should be best friends. He said the same thing.
I don't understand why you switch it.
Todd Father was like, "What are we doing?
Call it the zombie runner."
I don't care what we call it. There's a guy on second that shouldn't be there. So if we're doing it for the whole season, why don't we continue it in the playoffs?
Because people hate it and they want it back in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't get it.
So if people hate it that bad, Rob Manfred, he does whatever people want, so he should change it.
I agree. But I think that it should be the same way the whole way through, including in extras. I think it's a fun format. So that's me. All right, let's do our locks. Kratz, you go first.
I'm going to get 4+ Ks from both Fott and from Scherzers. Thank you very much. Plus 100.
Nice. Okay.
All right.
You go first. You go next.
All right, I'm going over 9.5 because I think Fott and Scherzer aren't going to strike out that many. They might strike out their 4, but they're going to give up some runs. And also Ketel Marte, who gets a hit every damn postseason game. I'm getting him 1 hit, and that gets me to plus 155.
Wow.
The over and a Ketel Marte hit.
If the over hits, Ketel Marte is getting a hit.
Oh, that's why it's called a parlay.
That was good. I like that.
Parlay.
So I'm going to teach you a little something.
Like they say in Pirates of the Caribbean. I want to parlay.
I plead parlay. All right. I'm going to teach you something called matchups. So you can go in the app and you can pick one hitter against another hitter and who's going to get more of a specific category. Christian Walker takes his walks. Christian Walker is cold as hell. You need to pitch to him. You need to circle him right now in the lineup and say, this guy is lost. Like his timing's off, right? He can't catch up to heaters. He's in between. It's a classic case. He should not be walked, period. Okay? On the other end, I think one of the adjustments that's going to be made is I think they're going to look at Corey Seager and say, this dude's going to come to town and try and wreak havoc like he has done in other places. He is still their best, most consistent hitter. Let's maybe avoid him once or twice like they did and made that adjustment later on in the series with Bryce Harper, right? They didn't pitch to Bryce as much later on in the series. So can you see Corey Seager pulling off a walk or one more walk at least?
I think at some point Corey Seager is going to walk, yeah.
I'm saying in
Christian
this game,
Walker hasn't been able to hit anything.
In this game, I think Seager gets a walk and Walker doesn't, or 2-1. You know, like I can see them walking Seager twice. He had 5 walks in that one game. What was that in the DS? So I know he swings a lot, but Kratz, I think they're going to try and test him outside of the zone coming up here. Your thoughts?
Agreed. I think he's the guy that they're gonna go around. The issue is gonna be if you walk him, then they got to feel like Fott's gonna have enough control to throw it out of Adolis' zones. I think Adolis has a good matchup tonight. I like his matchup against him. The only other person that I think would have a good matchup against him is Evan Carter, because I feel like he's going to control the zone, and I don't know if Fott throws enough in the zone that wouldn't be for damage. I would go Evan Carter with a walk. I like that.
Okay. All right, maybe I'll tell that too. But also Carter, Seager, Semien, 3 best hitters by far on the Rangers against sweepers. So I also think that Arizona knows that. And again, they're probably like, all right, that's a strikeout pitch. Like, let's be careful with Corey Seager and Carter and Simeon they'll pitch to. Obviously, he's cold right now. Anyway, FOUL is your bonus code. FOUL for $1,500 first bet offer, depending on how high you go on that first bet. Download the Bet MGM Sportsbook app or hit up betmgm.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your new account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Also, happy sports equinox. You know what that is?
I have no idea what that means.
All the
single
sports are
sport
playing.
is playing.
And so they have a special on the BetMGM app right now. You can score a 50% bigger payout. Obviously, check out all the terms and conditions and all of that. But you've got all the sports. See each of the sports: football, basketball, baseball, and that's a hockey puck. So,
I know what a hockey puck is.
I don't know. There's
That's
no
a
hockey
sick
in
hockey
Orlando.
puck.
I'm just trying to educate you. Just helping out a friend. Come on. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I've been to more Stanley Cup finals than you have, jackass.
You don't know that for sure.
I do know that.
I've been to every Devils Stanley Cup final game
What,
ever.
2?
No, I'm kidding.
91 and 92,
You're
whatever
right
it
back.
was.
Devils are good. So let's talk about shade. Zach Gallen leads in that category, and we'd like to run his lines. Like I said to Ken earlier, he's a star. He's a star speaker too, you know? I think we need to promote guys like Zach Gallen. He's on that list now for me, like the Rowdy Tellez list. So
No doubt.
Zach Gallen
no
was
doubt.
having a good time on social with Philly fans, and this is what he said about it.
Yeah, I mean, this will be the only time I'm gonna address that. But for me, that was just growing up in that area and knowing how the Philly fans operate. I don't know. There was a lot of mentions of people in my DMs and stuff like that. So I figured, they were talking junk. So I just figured if they want to, talk junk to me, I'll say one back. And I feel like being from there, I knew how to hit them the hardest. So that was my thought. But yeah, that's the end of that. This is a new thing that's over with.
And they said there wasn't a perfect answer. Come on. That's the
He
perfect
was
answer just now.
Exactly right to a T, because I say the same thing. You know how them Philly fans are. Good for him. It was great. It was solid. He's from the area, as we know. We know how those Philly fans are.
Yeah,
No
that's
doubt.
why he's like sometimes, I mean, that helps his cause though, right? Like to get the rest
He's
of,
been there.
Yes.
No, yeah,
of
he's
the
been-
crowd
yeah.
on your side. He's like, I'm from here, so I can get after it, right?
but-
It's the
but-
same thing. If someone talks shit about your where you're from, you can get offended, especially someone like Top Father. If they're from there and they're just like, I really don't like this, like it's an easier sell because they grew up around that spot too.
Let me explain 2 days ago when I was on, because why you guys like, oh, Paul Sewald, right, and all this. This is great, and that's what I said. I know who he is. Like for one, that was part of why I said it wasn't. I thought it was kind of cheesy. He's not from the area, for one, and for two, he was just on that team, which I said before. But this guy's been there. He's been around these fans. He knows these guys, and he understands the type of atmosphere it is. They're going to talk smack, and you're going to talk back, and they wouldn't. Kratz, you know this. They respect you even more for coming back at him for the most part. Oh, this guy's got some cojones. He's got some balls talking shit to me. Let's go. I love this. So next time they play, they're going to keep the receipts. And if they win, they're going to come back. And Zach's going to be like, that was pretty good.
Absolutely.
Respect.
Back at it. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz, foul territory on Stadium. We'll kick off the second hour, by the way, on the FT YouTube channel with Mr. Ken Rosenthal, live from the scene. Also, the roof will be open for Game 3. Wow. Baseball in late October with the roof open. I
But
heard
it's
the
too
weather's
late in the year
perfect.
for the roof to be open.
What's the temp?
I heard
and
the
I thought the
weather's
roof was
perfect.
broken. Did they fix
No,
it?
I think they fixed it.
They finally fixed it because they
Yeah.
made the World Series.
That was a
They got
while
some
ago
extra
when
cash.
they talked about that. Yeah, exactly. They're like waiting for it. Like, okay, here, go fix it. Go to the roof.
Hurry up, you have 2 days.
Does that affect anything though? I mean, do you guys even remember? I mean, does that place?
I remember
Change
playing
a lot.
day games there with the roof open. It sucked
Why?
because
Too
there was
hot?
bad shadows.
Oh,
And there was actually like a wind too. There was bad shadows in the day. I don't know about at 5 o'clock when they kick off.
wait, is it 3 or 2 hours behind there right now?
3.
It's 3 hours.
5
Oh,
o'clock
so it's
start.
5 o'clock. You're gonna have shadows, no?
You should.
Should. I just remember hitting early BP there, and the roof was open, and it was like, it was 1,000,000 degrees in the sun, and it was like 12 degrees in the shade because there was a breeze that would blow in, and it would blow in from left field and then whip right around to right field. So maybe some right-handed Oppo Taco dingers tonight.
Okay, we'll look out for it. And then your poll results, the wave in the playoffs or the World Series, whatever, right? No, the winner was nay. Second place, only in a blowout, which is actually what I voted for. Last, yay. Almost nobody voted for. Yeah, that's what I need in the playoffs.
See, that's what's
when
wrong
I
with
spend
people today.
$1,000
Everyone bets
on
that
a
don't
World
pass.
Series
They're
ticket.
only worried about themselves.
I think a lot of
Play well with others.
Says the person who wanted the travel schedule shifted around for AJ. Only worried about themselves.
I know. Like literally wanted the travel schedule to be shaped around your playing schedule.
I'm trying to
for
help
the
out all the
playoffs.
media. We're trying to grow the game. As media, we try to grow
the game. Don't have it on Halloween.
I could see Scott and Russ at the game when it's happening. They're like, sit down. Seriously, bro, come on.
There were some people in the chat, Kratz, when we were talking about it hot earlier, and they were like, yeah, that's what I want, where everybody sits up and puts their ass in my face every 2 minutes.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, anyways. You know what? You got your wish last year. There was no game on Halloween.
What was it?
It was rained out because I was there.
I was there too. I remember.
It got rained out last year.
We were texting about it. I remember. It's not for me. Trust me, people. It's not for me. You see any of these player props? Anything stand out? Well, Kratz, you already picked on some strikeouts.
I was gonna go fought with the 4.5. I think he's gonna get at least 5. There's a couple good parlays in there that you could get. I don't like any of those home runs at the bottom.
No, I'm not a home run guy.
And I wasn't for sure on the max, so that's why I went 4 and 4 at plus 100.
Tommy Pham's not going deep again. I love you, Tommy, but
he's locked in though.
But Scherzer's going to dome him slider, high fastball, slider, high fastball.
True. We'll see what that slider looks like for Max. But yeah, true. All right, hour 2. Ken Rosenthal joining us, and we'll get a little Arizona perspective from Derek Montilla, who's joining us without drunk Jonathan Papelbon this time.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
FT Live, hour number 2. 3 of the World Series coming up, and Ken Rosenthal is going to join us in a sec. He's hustling today. Did Fair Territory, which is up there. We'll promote it again when he's on here, but it's on Apple, Spotify. It'll be up on YouTube quite soon, so look out for that. We'll get into some manager talk too. Did you see who's looking at the Cleveland Guardians job?
Erik Kratz.
Still not Erik Kratz. Craig Counsell's going to meet with the Guardians.
Dude, they ain't going to pay him.
Kratz, tell him.
Tito just left, and he was the highest paid manager. So if you want to go somewhere to get the most money possible, why not go to the team that paid the most money? If he gets that offer, it's like when you're in free agency. You want the Blue Jays to call you. You don't want to play for the Blue Jays. You want the Blue Jays to call you to get the extra year, the extra cash, and then you'd be like, hey, look, look what I got. I got this amount of money from the Cleveland Guardians. Now pay me.
I will say
He's
if
not.
the-
I'll
the
go on
Guardians
I'll say
outbid the
right now
Mets
he
and the
ain't going
Brewers.
there.
Oh, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But you got to go interview. It's just like saying, oh, AJ Pierzynski is not signing with the Blue Jays. But he's going to go to Toronto and listen to what Ross Atkins has to say, because they're going to say, well, I know you're getting $50 million from these guys, but we'll give you 60. And you're like, wow, neat. Thanks, I'll take that. Here, I want to be a Cub for life. Cubs, give me $58 million and I'll go play for you.
Great steak dinner out in Toronto too.
He's not
There's
going to
some good
Cleveland.
steak there.
If people fall for that, if people actually fall for him going to Cleveland, then there's not some very smart people out there. Maybe he
say-
will, but he's not going to Cleveland. He's going to Milwaukee or New York. And you know what? You know what is great about Craig Counsell in this whole thing? And when Ken comes on, I want to ask him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're talking about, he wants to reset the managers' salaries and all that. I mean, he's got a great agent, because his agent's throwing that out there so everyone knows that he wants a lot of money. Great agent job. Great agent work by him. Whoever his agent is, that's crushing it.
Super agent.
That's
Because
what you're
with-
supposed to do.
But I know, with Stearns going to New York, Craig's a free agent. We're going to go to New York. We're also going to sneak in here to Cleveland, though.
Yeah,
We have Milwaukee, too.
there are a lot of manager openings right now.
Anaheim. He's going to Anaheim.
San Diego.
Artie Moreno, AJ Preller loves Craig Counsell. He's going there, too.
Well,
Breaking news.
nobody loves Ken Rosenthal like we do. Let's bring him on,
AJ
our FT
Preller.
Senior Insider right now. So I wanted to start World Series, but let's actually do this first, just because we're on it, Ken. Craig Counsell interviewing one of the hottest free agent managers we've seen in a while. We don't usually talk like this. I actually think it's cool and it's fun, and there's a lot of openings. So he hit the market at the perfect time. Are you like, and I will agree with AJ on this one, like us two, saying no chance that he ends up with Cleveland over Milwaukee and New York?
I would tend to agree with that. And the reason I say no chance is not that Cleveland would be unwilling to pay Craig Counsell. They might be willing to pay him. They paid Terry Francona well as a manager. But if you're Craig Counsell, besides the money, one of the things I imagine you would leave for is a team with deeper resources than the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cleveland Guardians do not have deeper resources than the Milwaukee Brewers. In fact, they might have even fewer resources. And I'm talking about payroll here. So from that perspective, it would be a lateral move at best. And I don't even know that I would call it a lateral move, because their payrolls are not going to be very high in Cleveland for a while. And that's just the way it is there. If you want to leave, you probably want to leave for a team with a bigger payroll, a team that can spend money to do some things that are not available to you in Milwaukee. So that is why I don't see it. I can see the Guardians making a strong case, and their front office is well respected. Francona, for the most part, had a great relationship with them. I can't see Craig Counsell saying, you know what, I'll take Cleveland over Milwaukee, even if the money is that much better. I just don't see that.
Ken, before we get into the World Series, I have to ask, how's your suite at the Phoenician in the pool? Did you go to the pool yesterday at the Phoenician and wear a little Speedo and get a tan?
AJ, I knew you'd be asking that question, and it is beautiful. We are not at the Phoenician, though, and I'm not revealing where we are either. That's
Well,
gonna
the
be
Four
next
Seasons is
question.
rough this-
I'm not saying.
The Four Seasons is rough this time of year in Phoenix, I hear. Scottsdale.
We're not at the
Okay,
Four
Ken.
Seasons either. Keep going. Keep spinning, AJ.
All right, so give us your thoughts then on Game 3 here. Heading into this one, roof open. Scherzer on the mound now, starting to maybe get some reps down in the playoffs and be a little bit more like himself against Brandon Pfaadt, who hasn't looked like a rookie in the playoffs.
I'm not sure he will be like himself just yet. And keep in mind, this is essentially his third rehab appearance, right? He missed more than a month with that right teres major strain, and now he has pitched twice, combined 6 2/3 innings. So the question, as he said yesterday, is not whether he can throw the fastball as hard as he has thrown it in the past. He can. He is physically capable of doing that. The question is how effective he can be and how long he can go. And we don't have the answers to that. And I refer back to Nathan Eovaldi, who missed a month or more than a month, like Scherzer, with a different injury, a right forearm strain. Came back. His first 3 starts were an inning and a third, 2 1/3, 3 1/3, something like that. He, too, was rehabbing in the majors. And then the 4th start which would be for Scherzer the one after this, that was one where he got to 5 innings. Maybe Scherzer can get there tonight. I'm not going to ever rule out Max Scherzer doing anything remarkable, but we have to temper our expectations. He's simply not built up to where he normally would be at this time of year.
Is the feel you get around the Diamondbacks locker room, Diamondbacks media and everything as they come back to Arizona that they're the better team because technically they should be up 2-0, or they feel more dejected like, we should have had that first game and we should be up 2-0?
Eric, they're certainly not dejected. That is not the vibe I get at all from their players, staff, anything like that. They do wish they were up 2-0, of course, but they achieved what all road teams want to do in a best of 7. They split the first 2 games. If you would have won the first 2, even better. It didn't happen that way. It's baseball. They were close. They were 2 outs away. So it seems that, if anything, the Diamondbacks have only gained confidence through this whole process. Starting with, of course, their first series win against the Brewers. Then it really peaked against the Dodgers when they knocked out Kershaw and when they swept the Dodgers, their old nemesis. At that time, they started to feel it. And then when they got down against Philly twice, 2-0 and 3-2, and came back to win the series, at that point, you're not going to be worried so much about who you are anymore. You kind of know. And that's where they are. I expect this series from here to get a little sloppy, and I don't mean performance on the field. I mean with the pitching. We're going to see a lot of bullpen the next 2 nights, and we'll see how it all plays out.
All right, you wrote back, I think, about a month ago about Tommy Pham being the Tommy Pham that we all now know. If you played with him, you knew that's the Tommy Pham. What kind of other sentiment did you hear after we heard about what Tommy did to give Jason at bat in the World Series?
Well, the first thing I heard, Eric, was from another of his teammates who texted me, and I won't give his name because I don't know if he would want me to give his name, but this guy texted me, and he had texted me after that article appeared too. And he said, hey, look at this. And I was not aware of the Jace Peterson situation, what had happened at that moment. It was early yesterday morning. And I saw that, and I said, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then talking to Pham and Jace Peterson yesterday, I felt it was even cooler. And to set the stage for people who might not be aware, Tommy Pham was 4 for 4 in Game 2. Could have been only the 3rd player in history, the 3rd, to have 5 hits in a World Series game. And he went to Torey Lovullo in the bottom of the 8th and said, I need my boy to get an at-bat. And his boy was Jace Peterson. These guys are 2 veterans. Pham's 35, Peterson's 33. I don't know that they were teammates until this season when Pham was traded over, but they've played against each other. They have a mutual respect. And for Pham to do that, I don't know that most players would even think that way on the verge of a 5-hit game, potential 5-hit game, and yet that was his thought process. So to me, it spoke volumes about who Tommy Pham is, but as you mentioned, Eric, we wrote that story. It was a little more than a month ago now. It was Will Salmon and I in The Athletic, and we quoted a lot of people about what kind of teammate Tommy Pham is. And if I recall, the headline of the story was the Tommy Pham you don't know, or something like that. Because most people know him from his slap heard around the world when he slapped Jock Peterson, not Jace Peterson, over a fantasy football dispute. Well, that's Tommy Pham too. It's not going to deny that, but there's a lot more to him, and I think everyone who is following the World Series really got a great glimpse of it after learning of what happened in Game 2.
Ken, do you feel like he's misunderstood, Tommy Pham? I mean, playing off of this, and not just the Jock situation, which I think brought in many casual fans as well. And certainly you can make a case that that was not the right thing to do in that situation. But yes, like you said, if you know Tommy, you probably understand how he operates, at least to an extent. I think it also has to do with the way that he responds to questioning sometimes, because he just doesn't want to be boring and vanilla, and he just talks to you like a real person. But sometimes that has hurt him because it happens pretty frequently. I mean, for us, he's gold. And it's not like just something goofy or he's making fun of things. Like, he just tells it like it is, which included his personal thoughts that he didn't want to get into too much right now, that he didn't feel like the Mets were a hustling team all the time, like other teams that he had been around in the past. I super respect the opinion there, because you know you're going to deal with backlash on that front. I remember, what was it, a year or two ago with the Reds, when he said something about how he's worrying about his stats, and I felt like it was kind of taken the wrong way. So do you feel like him being transparent hurts him, which I think kind of hurts our sport too. Like, let the dude talk.
I would agree that people will get the wrong impression sometimes of guys who speak their mind. If I could describe Tommy Pham, I would say he is blunt. I would say he is thoughtful. I would say he is really intelligent. And I would say he cares a whole lot. Not a lot of players work harder than Pham. And he's been through some things in his career. He's had that eye condition. He's a guy that has had to overcome some odds. And whether he's misunderstood or not, when things like this happen and are publicized, as this incident, if you want to call it that, has been, then people gain a greater awareness. And Scott, when we wrote that story a month ago, the purpose was exactly what you said. People think of him one way because of how blunt he is in interviews, because of what happened with Jock, because of all these different things. And yet there is another side. And it's our job as journalists, actually, to tell that other side. And that was the goal of the story. And in my view, it gave a glimpse into Tommy Pham. And the kinds of elements we discussed in that story were all amplified by what he did with Jace Peterson, which to me was one of the cooler things I've ever heard a player do, to be perfectly honest.
I'll say this about Tommy Pham. I played with Jace and Tommy. Tommy, when he was first coming up, Jace, when he first came up. Tommy was, yes, everything you said. Jace is, if you've seen him on here, he's been on the show a couple of times. He came on the day he wasn't added to the NLCS roster and talked to us, and was great, right? But Tommy, you mentioned the eye thing. As someone whose family has been affected by keratoconus and knows what Tommy has been through, when I went to Tommy and called him when, family member of mine was going through it, and I called him, and he couldn't have been better about it. Talked to him. I happened to be doing a Mets game. We sat down and talked for an hour about it. He took his time out, sat down and said, hey, this is what I went through. This is what I recommend you do. This is who I recommend you go see. And he could not have been a better human being for the way he reacted. And he could have told me, like people would say, oh, he could have told me, F off. Like, we played together 10 years ago, but he did not. He sat down. We had a conversation. He ran me through all the things he has to go through. All the things he has to do. And if people knew the story about him in his eyes, you would be amazed that this guy can play in the major leagues because of what he has to go through on a daily basis just to be able to see well enough to play Major League Baseball. So I'll defend Tommy Pham until the day that I pass away, until I move on, and I'll defend Jace Peterson. And I'm happy for Jace because he might not get another at-bat, but at least he got that one. And kudos to Tommy Pham for being the guy to do that for him and give it to him.
Yeah, I'm with you, AJ. And again, when I first learned of this yesterday, I thought, wow, that is one of the cooler things I can ever imagine a baseball player doing. Now, what's interesting, I want to ask you guys about this. Jace Peterson said it's not as uncommon as the average fan or writer might think. He recalled something that happened in 2018. He was closing in on an incentive based on plate appearances. And Adam Jones, they were with the Orioles then. Adam's not with us today, but we'd ask him about his if he was. He gave Jace a couple of at-bats, maybe more than a couple, or told the manager to give him some at-bats, helping or trying to help Peterson reach that incentive. Now, Jace said he didn't get there, but it's the thought that counts, right? And I didn't know that that was a common thing at all, but I guess it happens once in a while, right?
It does. Totally. Totally. I'm just telling these guys, in 2002, we were losing to the Angels, and we were going to lose in the LCS, and Tom Prince was my backup, and he had never had a postseason at bat. And Gardy was our manager, and he says, and I went up to him and I said, hey, listen, Prince has never had a postseason at bat. We're down 10 runs or something in the ninth inning. I'm like, can you give Princey my at bat? And Tom Prince was forever grateful for the fact that he got that one postseason at bat. He'd been to the postseason a bunch of times, but he had never gotten an at bat. My at bat didn't mean anything to me. I was like, I'm going to be in the playoffs every year. I'm young. Like, I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm like, to this guy, it meant a lot. And he came up to me after the game, was like, hey, man, I can't thank you enough for, you didn't have to do that. You could have taken the at-bat. But he's like, I appreciate it. And for him, he got one postseason at-bat. And that was the only at-bat he got. But at least he got that one.
I like that.
And things like that, you're right. And they do happen all the time. I think sometimes we forget that players are thoughtful and they care about their teammates. And they also care about the history and what guys have done and what, because again, getting to the postseason is special in baseball, and not everyone gets an opportunity to do it. Look at Trout and Ohtani. I mean, listen, right? I mean, it just doesn't happen as much. And I think sometimes guys are are much more mindful of things going around them than what we give them credit for.
Yep, well said.
Right, and what
All right.
separates this one again is the fact that he could have made history with that at bat. Tommy Pham could have. Albert Pujols in 2011, Paul Molitor in 1982, the only two players to have a 5-hit game in the World Series. Pham could have been the third. Now, he said he wasn't aware of that, and it probably wouldn't have made a difference. He still would have given the at-bat to Jace.
So, Ken, I want to finish with this because we're going to kick off a combo right after this. And just keeping it general, the commissioner spoke the other day. Was there anything that stood out to you that you definitely wanted to comment on? Obviously, you went over playoff format, maybe shrinking down from 13 to 12 pitchers on a roster, Oakland situation, Billy Epler investigation, the pre-tacked baseballs, which we'll definitely get insight from these guys coming up. But anything stand out to you?
Yes, the comments about the format. And what I've known from the commissioner over the past, I don't know, however many years he's been commissioner, and what I've seen him do, more to the point, the way I've seen him react at times, he can be defensive. And he can say, hey, this is fine. Don't criticize or question this. We're going in a good direction. And he didn't say that with regard to the format. He did say, we'll take a look at it. There's been enough talk, enough conversations that we're going to have to take a look at it. Now, it's been a great postseason. It's been exciting, dramatic, all of these things. And I'm sure he is basking in that glow to some extent, just as he is basking in the glow of the pitch clock and all that happened in the regular season with increased attendance. But he didn't say there, hey, bug off, we're going to go with this format, we're good. He said, we'll take a look at it. Now, do I expect anything to change? No, and it would take collective bargaining, and it probably wouldn't happen until the next CBA. But the mere fact that he would entertain the idea that this maybe isn't working as ideally as that baseball would want, that to me was something of a departure for him. It wasn't his normal, hey, everything's good, shut up kind of thing. Now, he doesn't talk like that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes. That was good. Hey, I'm always in for any Ken impressions, so I like it. But
Yeah, he loves role play, Ken.
Stop. Ken, have fun. Enjoy the game. Go crush it again as usual. We'll talk to you later this week, okay?
Enjoy the Four
Thanks, guys.
Seasons. Enjoy the Biltmore, Ken.
Yeah, all of that.
Got
all
it,
of that.
AJ.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Fair Territory is alive and well right now. Fresh episode just came out, hot off the presses. Check it out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Look at the topics, which include, Merrill Kelly. I mean, that is quite the story that Ken highlights. Adolis and Kittel. Ken's looking at, what he does and his average day in the World Series. Juan Soto for Yankee fans and others. Dude and Dork of the Week, and answering your questions in Grill and Ken. Okay, so let's continue the conversation right now before our next guest with a little That's What He Said, which is going to be starring Commissioner Manfred for what he went over. So I felt like we, as a group of us three, kind of went over the thoughts to the playoff format already. But here, you got multiple choice. Kratz, I'll let you choose. You want to talk next about potential of shrinking pitchers on roster, the update on Vegas, Billy Epler's Phantom IL that everyone does, or the pre-tacked baseballs? Pick a category, and we'll go to that one next.
Pitcher shrinkage.
Okay, pitcher shrinkage. Great. Great title for YouTube. 13 pitchers to 12 is the potential. And quote from Manfred, the way that pitching is being used right now has caused a diminution in that star kind of quality from some of our starters. And I do think it's an issue that we should talk about. There's a lot of fans who feel like the change from what's today's pitching matchup to who's the opener today has been a positive. We went to 13. I don't think it's had the desired effect. There are a few numbers smaller than 12, but that change would not come as soon as 2024, just for everyone to know. It looks like just for next year, it'll be kind of smaller tweaks. But also, you're shaking your
I
head.
just don't understand
Aren't
why
they going to just option more pitchers too?
It just caused more. I just don't understand. Yeah, there'd be more of a shuttle. It'd be more of an up and. I just don't understand why the commissioner can tell you how many people you want on your team. If I want 9 position players, and I want 17 pitchers, and someone gets hurt, and I got to use what?
Because teams bullpen and it's boring.
But that's their prerogative. I don't understand why we can decide how many pitchers and players we can have on a team.
You can do anything. You can decide how many pitchers or how many position players should be on each side of the field. How many position players should be on the grass.
Aren't we a little bit too reactive in this job? Oh, one person complains, no more shift, which I'm all for the shift because I want to see balls in play be hits and I want to see more action. But oh, let's do this and let's do that. It's like we're always, and, oh, the postseason format, let's change it because, oh, it's the 100-win teams have won. The other teams are hot. What do you want to? I mean, it happens. It's been 2 years of it though. Let's give it some time. Let's just not be like, oh, well, one person complained on Twitter, so we're going to change all the rules again. I mean, just when we get used to it, like it's like the ghost runner, or as Kratz calls it, the zombie runner. The zombie runner on second. The ghost runner is better, but the zombie runner. Well, I mean, come on. Like, we had it the whole year. Now we're going back. Like, I don't know. And I'm not the old man on the lawn because I like some of the changes, like the no shift
that's
and all
progressive to want the man on second and extras.
Yeah, like I want how if you play this way the whole year, why do we change it now? The most important games of the year.
You're preaching to the choir. I like it. Most fans despise it, I guess, or at least I'm crowdsourcing like MLB is by looking at people that complain the loudest.
Well, let's get back to the shrinkage with pitchers here. This is like, I don't understand. Every other league is trying to figure out ways to help people stay healthy, and they're going to bring 12 guys instead of 13, so they're just going to keep breaking more and more pitchers. Like, I think this is total just stop. Like, cut the marionette cord. Stop trying to, like, make it the game that you want to make it. Like, oh, we got to put the players over here, and then we got to make sure they're over here so that this idea of what we think the game, we at the commissioner's office think the game should look like, let the teams play the games, and look at what's happened. We have a team that absolutely bashes home runs and a team that steals bases. They can hit homers too. I think that's a bad narrative to have all the time. But let teams create the type of baseball that they want to create. If they want 14, 15, if they want a AAA roster of 9 position players and 4 catchers on their team, let them do it. Like, let the teams create it to make it the most competitive that they can make it. Not what we think, is the most appealing product on the field.
It brings more creativity too, and you can play with your roster more by having different numbers of different players. For me, you can play with your roster more. You can get more creative. It makes the utility guy more valuable. It makes a Ben Zobrist. It makes a guy like that can play a bunch. Denny Hawking that can play all over the field.
Shohei
Ohtani. But is he considered a pitcher? So you lose one. Since he's a pitcher player? Is he considered a pitcher? So they have to have an extra roster. Do you see what I'm saying? So they have to have one less starter, but they have to have one less pitcher, but they have to have an extra starter. So it messes up. Do you see how that? Another problem with Shohei. I mean, not that there's a lot.
Should be a good problem.
It is a good problem. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if he's considered a pitcher,
yeah,
then that's one less pitcher the Angels can have on their roster. And then plus they already have to carry an extra starter because he's they use a 6-man rotation. That really narrows your bullpen down.
My thing is there a solution though, Kratz? So the one thing I do agree on is when I look at a starting pitching matchup and I see those big names, that does make me want to go to that game. Like if I see Scherzer versus Verlander, I'm like, cool. As opposed to, it's the Rays and Giants, and they're just throwing 9 names at you, and half of them were in the minor leagues yesterday. Like, it's not sexy. It's not good marketing for the sport. So I agree this isn't necessarily the right way to do it, but is there a right way to do it? You can't just say, you got to teach the players not to worry as much about velocity and blowing out for 5 innings. Okay, well, it's been a while. That's not working.
No, that's not going to happen. But my thing is, from a commissioner's standpoint, from the MLB office standpoint, like, so you're telling me that because, let's see, who opened a lot of games? Anderson, was it Ryan Anderson opened a ton of games for the Giants?
Sean Anderson?
No, that was Sean Armstrong with the Rays. He was, anyway, whoever it was, maybe it was Sean Anderson with the Giants, opened a lot of games. They were still bringing bulk guys behind. And you're not going to get, like if you're telling me that because an opener is coming out for the first inning, less people are coming to the stands because, Ross Stripling isn't starting. I don't think, like, you can't have Max Scherzer versus Zach Gallen every single night. You can't have Blake Snell versus Clayton Kershaw every night. So who really cares if it's an opener? I don't think that messes with anything. And if you drop it down to 12 pitchers, teams are just going to do more AJ Preller stuff anyway, where you're going to have investigations into manipulating. Hey, good job. You did a great job, but you just threw the last 2 nights and we need someone else to come up. You're on the shuttle. Like, they didn't do anything with the options. They didn't do anything. Yes, they said, five times you're allowed to be optioned up and down. That is a ton of times to move up and down throughout a season. Like, I think there's more negative in having an opportunity for guys to get hurt when you have less pitchers.
Is there a solution, or are we just going to have a billion pitchers always?
I mean, 13's not a billion. That's half the roster.
No. I'm okay. I should rephrase. Is there a solution to try and get more marquee starting pitching matchups in our game where you know who the starters are? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to promote that without trying to tweak rules that cause injuries and just create other loopholes?
Where you develop better pitching.
Yeah,
right.
That's not
but that was my first thing. How do you do that? That hasn't happened.
You start at the lower levels and you develop guys into being starting pitchers instead of give me max effort for 3 innings, 4 innings, and piggyback them with another guy for 3 or 4 innings. Like you say, all right, 7 innings is important. Get me to the 7th, and we'll go from there. That used to be kind of,
But teams aren't doing that.
I understand that.
But the commissioner can't do anything. I mean, he can't make a rule to make him do that.
If he liked it, he would. If I feel like he can do whatever he wants at this point. He's making all these other rules he wants.
I don't know how you make a rule, though.
No, I'm just saying, but you asked how you get starting pitchers to be a bigger deal and bigger names.
Yeah.
You develop more true starting pitchers.
No one can do it, though.
What? They did it for 125 years.
But then it stopped.
Because
you guys have kids that are playing competitive ball.
I know.
You see it.
They can do it. They don't want to do it. That's the biggest difference. The Astros back in 2015 or 16 in the minor leagues, they were doing all piggybacks. All piggybacks. 5 days of 10 starting pitchers and then a couple bullpen guys mixed in the minor leagues. All their levels. So that was their choice. Like, they didn't want to do it, whether they did or not. And out of that, Lance McCullers came out of that. And what year they finished that kind of stuff, I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, teams don't want to do it because they are A, afraid of injuries. Well, that hasn't subsided. I think it's gone up, but I don't know the numbers on that. And B, they think that there is a value there in throwing the ball a billion and just hit the strike zone instead of hitting areas. I think you see the ability for the Diamondbacks to get as far as they have. Yes, they have guys that throw really hard, but they have guys that are able to attack areas. And the guys who haven't been able to attack areas in this really microscopic series, because everything is really just, it's watched and it's analyzed and everything, it's showing. The pitchers who can locate pitches are the ones that are most successful. Max Scherzer talked about it in his pregame press conference, or yesterday's press conference before today's game. He said it's about it, like, this is still just about location and pitch selection. And that's what you got to teach.
Yeah, it's just tough to enforce. That's the problem.
We're trying to enforce everything now.
It's not about the commissioner enforcing that. Go do something else.
That's organizations. That's organizational philosophy.
So let me give you the other few here. So let's move to the baseball. Manfred said he would grade MLB's attempts to create a different pre-tacked baseball a C-. That's actually surprising. Like, I'm glad that they gave themselves a C-.
But I'm surprised they can't come up with one. Japan has one. Korea has one.
You guys got to call someone at the league office.
I just don't understand why this is this hard.
You guys got to call one of those guys. I just want to know, like, more specifics. I mean, he gave us a little bit. He said, quote, "We thought we had a pretty good model last year. It got gummy, the baseball, when it got hot. We went back to the drawing board on it." And then this was in the Athletic article by Evan Drellick. He said, "By design, a ball would not be mudded in the same way as the current baseball. That creates a separate problem. Even if they could get the tackiness right, the hypothetical new ball would likely be bright white, which would be an advantage to hitters." That part I don't give a shit about.
Come on.
That's over managing.
That's overthinking.
Yeah.
That's over. That's fake hustle.
I don't give a shit about that. That's ridiculous.
me, I
also,
wanna know
advantage
the-
for hitters, fine. If there's a half a run per game more in baseball next year, I think we'll all be okay.
I want to know the inner workings of it. Are they not willing to go to the ball that the tacking system that the Japanese ball uses because they're trying to go with one of their buddies? Are they, is there any kind of like business politics going on in this where they're trying to
Always. It's
Of course
always.
there is.
Always. Come on.
So then let's just get it right.
I agree. Before we can figure this out. This literally is not rocket science. It's
not
a
that
baseball.
hard.
Put some sticky stuff on and make it equal for everybody, and the pitchers will figure it out.
I know, but it's been way too. This should have been figured out 10 years ago.
I agree,
This
but
is
they don't
insane.
want to. Yeah, okay. And the other one, I don't know if you're going to get to the Olympic thing.
Yes.
I wasn't going to, but did you
No,
want to?
I want to talk about this because I think
Okay.
this is a big deal. So in 28, the Olympics come back to baseball because the Olympics are America-based, LA, right?
America.
So they're like, we want MLB players to play in it. Well, when are the Olympics?
Summer.
We're going to stop the MLB season?
No, we're not.
So this is, I mean, I would love to
Can
see
do.
it. Yeah, but is Rob Manfred going to give up that month?
Is anybody on are the players going to? I mean, some
Well,
will go,
Japan
some won't.
did.
It's not happening.
I agree, but I think-
I don't even think it's worth talking about because there's no chance.
I know, but I think if we want to promote the sport and we want the World Baseball Classic, basically, on the world's biggest stage, one time, you can do it. You can make an exception one time.
Okay.
I feel like you can do
And-
it. And if someone
and-
gets hurt, someone gets hurt. I mean, they might get hurt.
Well, you have to get insurance, and I'm sure the Olympics won't pay for the insurance because
No.
I don't know if you've looked up the Olympic Committee, but they're not. They don't play by the rules. The Olympic Committee and FIFA, they're best
I was
friends.
going to say FIFA. I mean,
Yeah.
hockey does it. Hockey does it. Soccer does it.
Here's the biggest thing. Yes, they could stop the league. Who owns the WBC?
Well, MLB.
MLB.
That's why it's in spring training.
Who owns the Olympics? A bunch of crooks, also.
Hey, I'm not saying it, but hey, if the MLB, that's why they left it open. If the MLB gets a little kickback, they'll be like, yeah, we'll think about it.
And PA would say, pay for everyone's insurance. You know, my dudes.
They do. There's
They do.
insurance. When I went to the qualifiers for the Olympics, I love Olympic international baseball. Is some of the most. It's playoff baseball for me, and then international baseball is phenomenal.
How long would they actually need off, though? 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, you think, for the whole Olympic tournament? Because they would
Yeah.
have to. But everyone's in the shape. They're in shape at that point.
Yeah, you don't have to get ready for it.
No,
It's just
and
you
I
have to take
think
off.
the games would be less than 3 weeks, but you'd have to get everybody out to LA and have at least like 3 days together as a team.
I don't see it. I'm just telling you.
I think it
way
would be
too
great for the
complicated.
game. I don't know how it could work, but I think it'd be awesome if you're
Yeah.
running the true teams out there. Like even the WBC isn't the true teams, but there's no excuse in the middle of August. Everyone's hot. I mean, unless you're hurt, but everybody's hot. Everyone's in. It's like they're doing talking flag football. I mean, I know that's in the off season, but the NFL is going to run out their dudes.
Are they?
They're talking about like Tyreek Hill and these guys are like, I want to play.
That'd be sick.
Right? Like that's going to press the forward button on fans watching.
Mhm.
I mean, no offense to college kids or even minor league guys, but you put the stars of the stars in the Olympics, which everyone says, I'll play for USA. I want to play for USA. I want to, oh, wait, no, I don't really want to play because it's WBC. But the Olympics, I don't know. I think it'd be unbelievable, but it won't happen.
Well, let's ask our next guest, who's going to talk to us mostly about D-backs, but the mayor of Phoenix Sports covers the D-backs for PHNX D-backs. Derek Montilla back with us, and we talked during the watch party, but we now get a little extended time, Derek. So, what do you think? Would you like to see the Olympics go down in LA with all the sports stars, and do you think it would have an impact like, say, basketball or hockey does on the Olympics when they send their big boys?
I mean, AJ's right. The one way to get interest in this is to have the actual MLB players be a part of it. But that's not going to happen. There's no way, because on the flip side, no, I'm not sending my best players out there. The guys that I spend all that money on. You're playing games for this team, and that's my primary concern as the owner of a franchise. I know you want to grow the game, but I'd have a hard time seeing these guys be allowed to go play in something like this in the middle of the season.
Hold on, Derek. We got a special guest. Jonathan Papelbon's joining us. Hold on, wait.
Hey,
Just
actually,
kidding.
it's great you bring that up because thanks to you guys, we're starting a cockfighting podcast together. So I'm looking forward.
Oh no. All right. Well, on the field, your boys are looking pretty good right now. The team that you covered, the Diamondbacks, really showing the world what it's all about. So, do you think they're the favorite? Like, they're technically not the favorite on BetMGM odds at the moment to win the series, but they're getting close. But do you think at this point, from what you've seen, barely lose one game, win the next convincingly, now take the series to their home ballpark, do you think that they're the favorite to win the series?
I feel like they are, especially because of the way we saw them play in that Philly series, right? I didn't expect that kind of performance in Philadelphia from this team, and the way that they were able to get the job done there. It makes it hard to not have them be the favorite. But I also understand that this Texas Rangers team is really good and really talented. They've proved that they can win on the road as well. That's why this doesn't seem like a slam dunk series at home at Chase Field. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with these 3 games, how things go. I'm really glad though the way things line up, because the way that Merrill Kelly pitched in Game 2, I don't think that there is another guy you would want to see potentially lined up for a Game 7 should it go that far.
Before Game 1 of the World Series, should Evan Longoria have been benched, and do you still feel the same way?
I don't. I don't, but it's because this team is so youthful that the experience of guys like Evan Longoria and Tommy Pham, I think, are a big part of why they're here, right? Like the rest of this roster has no clue. It's there's a few guys in there. I don't want to take away from some of them, but Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas, Brandon Pfaadt, these guys they're just playing baseball, and I don't have an explanation as to how they're able to do what they've been able to do, but they seem to be very comfortable, in this big role. Granted, in his press conference yesterday, it was like stand-up hour with Fott there for a little bit. He was cracking jokes and correcting people's pronunciation of Louisville, which I think I got that right there. I hope he's not mad at me for that. But yeah, there's a lot about this team right now that feels like is going in their direction.
So I know you said you don't have an explanation for it, but I'm still going to press you on that front anyway. I think back to when they lost series against the Yankees and the Mets towards the end of the year, and I look at the ball that they're playing right now. What's the one thing that stands out the most? And let's put Fott aside, right? Because clearly he's been a different pitcher in the postseason, even though we know the stuff's been there. And also he's a rookie, so he's just showing up, and that's been huge. But that's not the only thing going on here. So like, what else stands out to you where you're like, they weren't doing that in September?
Offense, really. I mean, really, when it comes to what they've done in some of these series, I mean, the 11-1 victory against the Dodgers just completely blew me away, and I was unexpected. This team has not been able to put up these kind of runs. If you look back at their season, you look back at their run differential this year, I think them and Miami were the only 2 teams to sneak in with a negative run differential. This team just was not scoring runs consistently, and even when they were, it seemed like they would just do enough to win games and not really blow teams out like we've seen them do a few times so far here in the postseason. To me, that's the most surprising part.
Do you think that if the Texas Rangers see Ginkel and Sewald, the next, say, how many potential games are left? 5?
5, but they got to win 3.
Right. So let's say they see him let's say it goes 7. They see him in 4 out of the next 5. Do you think that eventually it's going to cause a problem? Like if you're seeing the same guys over and over again?
Yeah, I think that's the reason why you see Troy Lovullo pull guys so early. I mean, I know there's constantly been discussions about Lovullo pulling Fott early, Lovullo pulling Merrill Kelly early. I think a big part of it is that he's just trying to protect his starting pitcher at times from, being seen too many times. And that could be the case with the bullpen in a 7-game series like this. I don't think that either one of those guys do a whole lot that you don't already know is coming, especially Paul Sewald. I mean, the Rangers are very familiar with him, considering he used to be right there in their division with the Mariners. So I think, that experience might be the reason why Corey Seager hit that home run off of him. It might be, a problem. Torrey is going to rely on this bullpen, and the guys that he's going to rely on are Ryan Thompson, Paul Sewald, and Kevin Ginkel. And those guys have continued to be great for this team down the stretch. They're absolutely, when you talk about the regular season, you talk about those games there in August. They're the reason this team was able to sneak into the playoffs and then do all of this stuff that they've done so far. So I think they're going to continue to rely on them. I think we're going to see Torrey continue to, kind of limit, like Brandon Pfaadt today, for instance. I wouldn't be surprised if he only faces 18 batters again, and that's the end of his day, no matter how good he's doing. So I just feel like Torrey is going to rely on the thing that brought him here, and that's been the bullpen, even though that faltered in game one.
D-backs fans accepting of bandwagon D-backs fans, or are they a really close-knit group of hundred of people?
No, we can't be picky here. We need to accept all the fans, we can. And honestly, I've talked about it before. This organization has a hard time building fans for so many reasons. Not only have they not been around for a million years like all of the other franchises in baseball, but they literally have the fans here in town split up by spring training and by the fact that so many people are transplant fans here. So I think the Snakes need as many fellow Snakes as possible. So if I'm an ambassador for this team right now, I will say we welcome everybody, because this team's fun and they're young. They're going to be exciting to watch for a number of years. And I think that this is just the beginning, which what a way to introduce the world to, Corbin Carroll and Alec Thomas and Brandon Pfaadt like this,
What's the scene been like out there? Now they get to host the games, but did they host people at the ballpark for the first two? You know how some places will do that? They didn't. Okay.
Yeah, they have like a Guy Fieri's restaurant out front that they've been doing all of the watch parties for, and they've been pretty electric, to be honest. I mean, people here are excited, and there's, basketball and hockey starting. The Cardinals, those are the Cardinals. So there's not a lot to be excited about at times sports-wise here in this town. The Suns pretty much run things here, and it feels really great for, fans to be coming out to the airport to see the guys come back. And it feels great to have, everybody so excited about this team. This is how the organization can build a fan base is by doing this. It was Jerry Colangelo's vision in the first place. He said, we have to win in order to build fans here. And that's why, 2001, they made such a push to do that then. This year couldn't be more different than that 2001 team. Yet here we are, back in the World Series.
Derek, you saw the Tommy Pham stuff about him giving up his bat? I mean, you have to love that, right? I mean, as a lover of sports and a lover of team sports, you have to be like this ultimate team thing.
It's just an example of how people have talked about Tommy Pham in the Diamondbacks clubhouse. Pham gets a bad rap at times. There's been a lot of, talk about his reputation and such. And I think that this is just an example of who he truly is. This team, their catchphrase has become, we're a connected team, and connected teams are a dangerous team. There's also some expletives in there as well. But, it's the exciting part about it is this is showing why they call themselves a connected team. I mean, it goes beyond the stats and everything like that. And they've really tried to play baseball in a way where they hand the baton off to the next guy and trust that your teammates can get it done. The locker room has just galvanized over not only this run, but kind of over the fact that they've played so many important games. Like we kind of joked about calling almost every regular season game in September, a must win, but they've been playing playoff baseball for a long time. And I think that that's allowed them to truly have that, this is our last game kind of point of view going into every single game they play.
So this D-backs team is a young team, okay? As a fan, as a D-backs fan who's hasn't seen anything really since 2001, no World Series since 2001, would you take a World Series this year and no more playoff appearances for another 20, or no more World Series again for another 20 plus years? Or would you rather this team lose this year, play 5 more playoff years, and then win a World Series?
Oh, that's tough. I've enjoyed this playoff run so much that if I had to pick one of those two options, it would probably be getting to watch this team, make 5 more playoff runs. Like it's just been so exciting, and they've there's been the fun with Mad Dog Russo. There's been, adopting Ski from Sexy Red as their unofficial anthem. There's just been so much like stuff that makes you love this team, So I think that playing meaningful games at the end of the season is what it's all about. And then getting to this point where you can kind of make some noise in the playoffs and build a fan base, especially, when you get down to this, like the Diamondbacks, getting seen nationally in a way that they don't normally, get seen and kind of having a chance to grow this organization's fan base. It's been a lot of fun. So I would pick more playoffs and eventually getting there, but hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully what we can see is both of those things combined with this team.
You can't have both. Sorry, that wasn't part of the
I
question.
I want both.
Yeah, well, you can't. But you can have a 75-degree day in Arizona when all these Texans are coming into Arizona and saying, wow, Arizona's really nice and the roof's going to be open. Is this good or bad for the Diamondbacks or even the game tonight? How is this going to play? How's it going to affect it?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm taking the over on the runs scored. That's for sure with the roof open. But Chase Field with the roof open is just a completely different place. We don't get to see it often with so many 100-degree days here in Arizona. So I think that the atmosphere is going to be incredible. It's sold. The rest of the series is sold out here at home. So I think with the roof open, the panels open, we're gonna see the ball flying a little bit more than we typically do, and it's going to be interesting to see how these offenses can get on track. I'll say this though, I love the fact that we have Alek Thomas playing so well offensively right now because there's nobody you want playing center field for this team other than Thomas, especially at Chase Field. It's wonky, it's weird, it's got the overhang there and the porch in center field. Most home runs that would be home runs elsewhere are not home runs here. So it's just great to have such a great defender out there, tracking everything down. He's been tremendous for this team.
Derek, before we let you go, enough about the World Series. I got to ask about the things behind you. Are you going to be Iron Man as Halloween? Because you also have a Luigi hat. And then are you
I do. You saw the Luigi hat. That's the mustache, the Luigi hat. It all goes together. Yeah, for sure. I got a little Super Mario thing planned for sure. But
okay, makes sense because your mustache kind of got the M, so you could maybe be Mario over Luigi. But
yeah.
And then are you like George Costanza? You needed the Dig Dug machine behind you because you have the all-time record and you didn't want to unplug it, so you got like the battery and you wheeled it home, and then so you wouldn't unplug because you had the all-time high score.
Actually, exactly how it went. I did have to Frogger it across the street though, and that was very perilous. So I'm glad I got it here in one piece.
Okay, are you the Dig Dug champion of all time?
I am the Dig Dug champion of all time. I am a huge Dig Dug guy, so it's not usually on a lot of people's radar. So maybe that's how I maintain that title. But I just call myself the mayor of everything. So I'm the mayor of Dig Dug, mayor of PHNX. One time Heidi Watney on the Apple broadcast called me the actual mayor of Phoenix, which I appreciate that, even though I didn't have to run in any election. So things are going well for me.
All right.
Nice job, Heidi. I like that.
Yeah.
What's Dig Dug, by the way?
Oh my gosh.
Stop it.
It's this little guy who walks around. He
Get him out of
dragons
here.
and stuff, and you have to like pump them up with air and you make them explode. Gosh, you've never played Dig Dug? Have you ever seen Seinfeld when he gets the Frogger and he has Costanza and he has to take the Frogger across the street? And it's one of the greatest.
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
You don't know what Dig Dug is.
I got no time between this show and our next show, so I'll work on it.
When you were 12, there was no time?
That's fair.
No. I'm saying now to learn it. No, 12. I didn't come across it. I mean, was that before or after like Sonic and Sega Genesis?
Before. This is like
Way
Pac-Man
before.
days.
Oh well, then I'm
This
too
is
young.
like Pac-Man, Centipede, Dig Dug. Like, those are like the games.
You are aging
Pac-Man-
me
Pac-Man to
100
death,
years as you speak right now. I
You?
feel
What about
myself
me?
older.
That's what I grew up on.
I'm 35. I didn't have Dig Dug. I didn't come across it. Pac-Man though, big Pac-Man guy. So Galaga,
Yeah. See?
yeah, all that stuff.
You're more of a Miss Pac-Man guy for me.
Miss Pac.
You like the turbo, where it was.
I love Miss Pac-Man.
See?
She's fantastic. Derek, thank you. Good luck to your squad. Enjoy watching the
guys.
game tonight.
Appreciate it. Talk to you guys later.
Sounds good. Thank you. Derek and PHNX. You can see all of his coverage. We'll post it on our Twitter, obviously, if you want to follow along. Very fun follow. Okay. Let's hit your Players' Choice Awards category breakdown, sponsored by Candy Digital. Let's get after it with NL Outstanding Pitcher finalists. Justin Steele versus Blake Snell versus Zach Gallen. Well, this is one of those categories where I'm going to have a hard time being convinced that every player shouldn't put Blake Snell's name. And I get the innings convo because I'm all about it. Innings is a big deal for me when you're voting for the best pitcher. But you guys have voted for these awards in the past. Tell me how you can see a scenario where someone goes, you know what? I'm not going Snell. Aside from, I don't know, he hit me in a game or something like that. But aside from that, like of these three, Gallen has a significant amount of innings more, 30 more innings. But he also has over a run of a difference on his ERA. And it's not all about ERA, but can you guys help me out? Is there any case where you look at this and don't say Blake Snell is essentially a unanimous winner?
He's going to unanimously win the Cy Young probably.
Okay.
So there's there's going to be a couple people that don't.
Yeah, but that's
vote for him.
different. I'm saying with players.
No, I'm saying
like, do you think a player would look at this and make any case?
Well, depending on when they vote too, though. But
Yeah,
still,
but it's,
because
it's
like
right
if you don't
at
vote
the,
right,
it's pretty close.
It's
to the
usually
finish
right
line.
at the end.
Yeah.
But his last 3 or 4 starts were
Insane.
clutch good to win the Cy Young, right? So I don't see there's any way. Obviously, Snell's going to win this. Now, unanimous is never going to be unanimous because someone's always going to vote for their teammate, Zach Gallen and Justin Steele. So it's never going to be unanimous, but this should be a landslide for Blake Snell.
Did they put on there that we weren't allowed to vote for our teammates, or was that not a thing?
I didn't.
For some reason, maybe it said you weren't allowed to vote for yourself or something like that. But
Always vote for yourself.
Kratz for most outstanding everything.
Always vote for. By the way, that's the dumbest. Always, you think the president of the United States, when they're running, they don't vote for themselves. They're like, I'm going to vote for the other guy.
I thought there was
always vote for yourself. That's just dumb. You don't vote for yourself.
Yeah, you voted for yourself for most outstanding player
every year.
No, you didn't.
Because in my mind, I was the most outstanding player.
No, you didn't. Stop it. But I don't know.
I wrote myself in sometimes.
That makes sense, though. If you can't vote, we can check this too. I'll put a note to check this. If you're a Padres player, then yeah, you might have voted for Zach Gallen first, right? You've seen him.
If you're a Padres player, you definitely vote for Blake Snell. I mean, unless you're not allowed to.
And if you can't, you're definitely not voting for the person who you think would be the second best.
Who I think would be Steele, so you probably would vote for Gallen. Because I think Steele would probably be second.
Next?
I think so. If you look at his ERA and some other numbers, I think Steele was the guy most likely to chase Blake Snell in the Cy Young until the end.
Zach Gallen, I mean, Steele ran out of gas towards the finish line.
Yep.
Gallen didn't have a great
Gallen
finish
did
either.
too, but Gallen had 40 more innings. Wait, is that right? Or more? Yeah.
Those don't matter, though.
40 more innings.
Those don't matter. What was his
They
FIP?
don't matter to players?
What was his FIP?
Players don't care about innings?
I don't know. What was his FIP?
His whip is pretty impressive, though.
His whip, FIP, ERA plus. All those stats.
Zach
All those
Gallen's
stats.
whip was better than Justin Steele. Gallen was a 1.12. Steele was a 1.17. I'm going Gallen.
Okay, you can be wrong.
Give me the innings.
I think Steele. He was in the running. It was like as much as Blake Snell went up, Steele went down. Like it was like they were kind of. Snell had. He was ahead, and then he just went. I think it was like 12, 13, 11, 10, 13 strikeouts all at the end of the season, all in like 6-inning starts. And Steele went like, and they were riding him for a while, and then at the end they really needed him to step up, and I think he was out of gas.
Yep.
I mean, it's Snell.
Yeah, it's
you would argue over second place. It's like great.
Yeah,
I am though. I'm saying I feel pretty good about Zach Gallen.
Okay.
In second place. I'm not saying he's necessarily going to win, but I actually do think he has a pretty good chance of winning second place.
Second place.
What does that get you?
Ding.
Guys, I'm trying to have some fun here because it's easy. Blake Snell's winning this award, but I'm saying Zach Gallen could be a strong second place. It's a 40-inning difference, and I don't think
congratulations,
some
Zach.
of the other numbers make enough of a case for one way or another.
I'm sorry, Justin.
Who's your second place? Just give me your second place. You have to pick.
Me too. I'm with Kratz here.
Okay, so you guys don't care about innings. That's fine.
No, I just think Gallen's consistency won't shine as much of a light on what Steele did early. Steele had a 2.4 ERA at one point.
Dude, Zach Gallen started the All-Star game. He might have been the best pitcher in the first half of the year.
No, he might have been.
I think you guys are overlooking Gallen.
Half run lower ERA for Justin Steele.
Yeah. That's what he's got him on. That's what he's got him on. I'm just saying. I like Gallen.
Got less
It's a
losses?
Big money difference. I don't look at losses.
No. Then you don't care about wins.
You don't care about whip?
No, wins.
What about whip? Cool whip.
So
Anyway.
basically, none of these stats matter. Who has a better smile?
Ooh.
That's who's
Who's
going
a
to
better
win.
name? No, but
Justin Steele. What are
for
you
me,
talking about?
it's not just the innings you're eating.
Justin Steele.
It's what you're doing for your bullpen that matters to me. If it's close, it's close. But 40 inning difference.
Innings
with
don't matter. Look
those
at
differences-
Snell.
I understand that, but Snell's everything else was so far ahead of the game that when it starts to get a little more muddled in the middle, innings is a big deal for me.
Okay.
I guess it's not for you guys. I don't know. That's
I
just
just
something
think
I'm into.
the winner is the winner.
Yes,
And
we
whoever
got the winner.
finishes second doesn't get anything, so who cares?
First to lose.
Breaking news from AJ Pierzynski. If you're not first, you're last. So if you want more lines like that, check out the Players' Choice Awards on November 2nd, 7 o'clock Eastern time, right here on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. Okay? It's sponsored by Candy Digital. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some special guests, players, joining us to talk about either their teammates or themselves winning an award. So stay tuned on that front. And also, make sure that you go grab your free MLB Team pack at go.candy.com/pack or hit up the QR code. Candy is your official destination for MLB digital collectibles. You can collect, buy, sell, and earn rewards like meet and greets with MLB stars, game-used gear, signed memorabilia. I know Pete Alonso was a big part of a lot of the handouts they were given this year. As a special offer for the Foul Territory fam, Candy's offering free MLB Team packs, okay? So again, that's right on your screen, QR code, or go.candy.com/pack. Sign up with that code, and then you go to the team packs and you'll get one for free. Also, we'll put more information in the show notes on YouTube and on our podcast page. There you go. I have to sign up your account. I'm going to help you out after
what?
the show.
I love
your
candy.
team pack. Which
I love
team pack
candy.
do you want? Which team pack?
Oh, well,
You get one team.
I get to
It's
pick.
like a pack of cards, digital. Which team would you want to take?
Well, I mean, I would want
Oh, wow, Kratz.
I would want the Angels because I could get Ohtani and Trout.
You can't get them.
Then that's what you do.
What do you mean
they
I can't get 'em?
Yes, you can.
Why can't I?
We're going to open a pack right after this. Wow, Kratz.
What
What's
is
the
that?
highlight there?
Is that,
What's
are
the
you
highlight?
picked the
This
Rockies?
is my Candy Digital CJ Crone card. Highlighted on my
Infinite
Infinity
object.
object.
Infinite object. Close
What did I
though.
say? Infinity? Infinite
Yeah.
object.
Dude, that looks sick.
It does look kind of sick.
It's
Are you
so
jealous?
cool. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
get a. I'll take Shohei. Thank you.
We'll open a
Is it
Angels
one of
pack
one?
after this.
I have to figure out, somebody needs to let me know how to put the candy cards, my candy pack. I got my Phillies candy pack, so I got to put it on here. Right now, it's just CJ Crone hitting a dinger.
Yep, I can help you with that.
Need that.
Stay tuned.
Do we
Okay.
get one of those things too? I get an Infinity Stone.
You don't.
No,
Oh.
no.
You don't
not
get
right
Infinity
now.
Stone.
You
am
haven't
Thanos.
behaved. I don't know. So you don't get one right now.
All right. Well, I'm gonna snap my fingers and make you guys disappear then.
You're not Thanos.
Good luck. Slap.
Ball.
Okay, don't. Some people like to leave during slap hands. They're making a mistake. Yes, Kratz, you are the best digital collector and the best digital poker player. Any other awards?
Just continue. Just continue. Go.
What's that one?
Oh, this one? This one right here?
Yeah.
It's my candy. It's my candy
Oh,
baseball.
nice. There you go.
That's
I like
nice.
it.
So,
So we have a fantastic slap hands to offer to the people today. Let's start with one of our favorites, Lance Lynn, who has created a pitching tunnel so that he can improve in the offseason. Where is he in the offseason? What region of the country? Is it a cold part of the country?
Well, he's from
Yeah.
Indy, but I think he lives in Mississippi.
Okay.
So no, he's in. I don't know where he is now.
so he's back in
Nashville.
Indianapolis.
Is he
Yeah, that's
back
what I
in
thought.
Indy?
Indiana, because it's
Carmel.
cold. And yeah.
Oh,
Okay, ready? His wife posted this on Instagram. She goes, "Don't worry, guys. We put a pitching tunnel in our new house, so Lance won't give up the most homers in a season." With laughing emojis. That's great.
I love
that.
it. I love when you can laugh at yourself.
I love Lance and his wife like giving each other shade.
She
That's-
posted the salad earlier in the year.
Yes, she's awesome. So thank you.
because Lance doesn't have social media, so she has to do it for
She's
him.
the rep. She's the rep. That's
It was
cool,
like when
though.
Brad Radke did the home run commercial, the conga line.
I don't remember
Back
that.
is before your time. So there was back when like Sega was doing baseball games, and he had given up the most homers, and they're like, "We're so realistic. Even Brad Radke gives up homers." And it was him throwing a ball, and there was a conga line going around the bases. I used to love that commercial because I played with Brad, and I'd be like, "This is great that you did this."
Wow, that is really cool.
Like he did it, or someone else?
No, he was in the commercial. He like threw a pitch, and the guy hit a homer, and there was a conga line going around the bases. Yeah.
Do pitchers have setups like that? Is that a normal thing
Oh,
in their homes?
That looked boss.
Yeah, that looked real boss. That looked like
Todd
a dude
has
who's made some
all those
coin.
cages in his house.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
Okay, just
I
wondering.
live in Florida. We go outside.
I understand. You don't have experience on that front. You're up next. What do you got?
The best Halloween costume ever, and if you are trying to compete with this, you lose automatically because Ben Affleck on the left has some random girl
Thank you.
on the right.
People said it's Casey and not Ben, which is a good call.
Well, either
too.
one. But one of the Affleck brothers decided to be Randy Johnson, and he killed the bird with his ball. So that one's hard to top right there, especially with Arizona in the World Series and the authentic Diamondbacks jersey from about '98. Pretty awesome commercial or pretty awesome costume there.
What about the glove from '98 too?
Yeah, the whole thing's got the blood on the baseball, fake blood on the baseball. It's pretty solid.
The bird has blood on her, whatever, the boa that she has around her neck. Tremendous.
Yeah, they nailed it. It's the best baseball costume I've ever seen. Okay. Also, quick update. Yes, you're allowed to vote for your teammates for the Players' Choice Awards. Ballots are a write-in ballot. Only restraints are that the National League votes for the NL awards, the American League players vote for the AL awards. Cool. I like it. That makes sense. Thank you for the clarification. And lastly, you know what this made me think of from Adam Wainwright, this tweet? I'll read it to you. People keep asking me if I'm officially retired. Well, here is my official retirement paperwork that we turned into the Cardinals and the PA. Retired? Absolutely. For all the best reasons. We'll send more later. Love y'all. And then reason for retirement, he wrote, because I got a puppy. Now, I have a question. You know Wayno.
Mm-hmm.
When he put that first line on the tweet, was he making fun of what is like one of my favorite jokes online? Have you ever seen people, you know how influencers will be like, people keep asking me about my skincare. Well, this is what I use. You've never seen that? And then people will like go on and make fun of them. Like, people keep asking me about like my toenails. And that's because I use whatever. You've never seen that stuff?
I don't really follow those people.
Oh, you probably do actually, but you just don't realize it. But Kratz, do you think he meant that, or that's too in depth? He just was saying it like a normal person.
I don't know. The only thing I can think is when I quit, they sent drug testers to my house, or they called and they said, "Hey, we got to come, test you tomorrow." I was like, "Don't waste your time. I quit. I am not playing anymore." And the woman on the other line was like, "Well, I have to call the commissioner's office for that." So she called me back and she was like, "Okay, we won't show up." I never filed any papers or anything, so I don't know if he was getting bombarded. I just think it's Wayno being funny.
Yeah.
But why do you have to fill out the paperwork? I never understood that.
I don't know. This is a topic I know nothing about.
No, I'm
This
just
is all
saying.
you guys.
I'm not officially retired, even though I haven't played in 7 years.
Yep.
So great. I want my benefits.
You're still on the active list.
That's right. How come they don't drug test me anymore?
There's
nothing more awkward though when the guy would come to your house, the drug tester guy.
They'd come here.
They'd show up at your house. Nothing more awkward. They'd show up at like 7 a.m. and you're like trying to wake up, get the kids to school, and all of a sudden they're coming because they tell you that the day before, and they're like, "Hey, he's coming tomorrow at 7 a.m." and you're like,
"Oof."
Oh, and you get up. You can't pee when you get up because then you might not be able to pee when he shows up.
You have to just sit there.
Then he walks in your house. This random guy in your house, random person. And he's like, "All right, let's go in the bathroom. Drop trowel, take a pee-pee in a cup." And he turns and leaves.
That. We should do a whole hour on that in the off season. Kratz, what's on your hat, real quick?
AJ?
Rochester Red Wings?
Red Baron.
No. Tacoma Rainiers. I thought you were the king of Tacoma. I thought you were the mayor of Tacoma.
Yeah.
I played there 3 games in my life.
AKA the mayor of Tacoma. Heidi Watney would call you the mayor of Tacoma.
Just the mayor.
Didn't have to run for
it. Us for that last seg. All right. We will see you all tonight after Game 3 of the World Series, the post-game show right here with this crazy crew. See you soon.